Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, the podcast where father and son take the kitchen table arguments and heated discussions from their home directly to yours. Jim and Jack Boyle will explore the world as only they can. We might even let a few guests join the fun. So sit back, choose a side, watch the water temperature rise, and enjoy stimulating generational conversation about sports and life. Welcome to this special Turkey Day edition of It All Boils Down to This. We are blessed to have here in the podcast studio, along with Jack, we've got Chris Grecco. Wave to the camera, Chris. Good job. And we got JTrev, Justin Trevasani. And in the empty chair right over there, we will eventually have Kevin O'Donnell, who's on a work call. He might be the only one of us that has to work today. So it's great to have you guys on. Real quick, let's go to JTrev since the camera's on there with you. How'd the season go? I know you're at Harvard. What's going on there?
Yeah, so, we had a pretty good year. Co-Ivy League champions, split that with Yale and Dartmouth. The end of the year, played in the game versus Yale, at Yale. Have you ever been to the Bowl at Yale?
No, never been there.
And, very cool stadium. You drive into it, and you're pretty much ground level with the top of the stadium, and then you go into the stadium, and it just drops 100 feet down. That's just a little side note. But didn't get the job done last game of the year. So a little salty seeing Yale celebrate getting the co-champions. But it was a good year, 8-2. Definitely exceeded preseason expectations. So
big question, JTrev, did you get a ring out of that deal?
I think that's still – I think Chris was helping me in that process. Yeah, I think the kinks are still being worked out. All
right, Chris, you're working on that. How are you working on that, Chris?
I got a guy.
You got a guy?
My one of my best friends from college is the director of scouting and recruiting, or whatever his
recruiting coordinator.
Recruiting coordinator at Harvard football.
Oh, good. So Chris, last we had you were still coaching soccer. How'd soccer season end?
I think it ended when I was last here. But
no, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, you had the banquet last night.
Yeah, the banquet last night. I made this joke at the banquet. I don't know the record. I don't want to know the record. All I know is that the only game that we won was the one game that I was not able to make. So
it's all coaching for you then, right?
Shout out my guys for that.
All right, so we've got a lot on the plate today. Once Kevin gets here, we're going to try to do almost everything. We're at the MLB. We're going to do NBA. We're going to do Premier League stuff, weird stuff. We're going to talk about JTrev and scouting, then do the NFL. And we have a mock draft from Mr. Trevasani for that I have some bones to pick with you on that. And then we'll do a draft with college basketball draft, which Jack
JTrev's struggling over there at the mic. I'm going to laugh all podcast, honestly.
JTrev, what you do to the mic, man?
No, the mic's fine.
Okay, fine with the mic? All right, so Jack, why don't you take us in here. MLB, we're going to go the Hall of Fame. Just came out. What do you see? What do you think?
Real quick about the offseason, I know Aaron Nola signed. The Red Sox really haven't done anything yet. I'm not starting to get worried at all, but like I said, it's a big offseason. They got to make a move. The Hall of Fame. So the Hall of Fame ballot came out, and there's actually, looking at this, a lot of guys on the ballot this year that I would probably check off on my list. I don't know about you guys, but just looking here, I think Todd Helton's a Hall of Famer. I didn't do enough research. Billy Wagner's a relief pitcher, right?
Yep.
I don't know enough about him to make my opinion on that.
You know
yet.
something about Billy Wagner? Just a quick story, Billy Wagner. Do you remember the first time we went down to throw on the Fenway grass, 2003? Red Sox, we went extra innings with Houston. Billy Wagner was on the mound while we were down there. For
Nomar?
Nomar, yeah. Nomar hit the put it. Okay,
so sorry. Billy Wagner, so that's a bad story for him. He gave a game-winning hit at Fenway Park. Andrew Jones, he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, he's definitely borderline, yeah.
Gary Sheffield.
Definitely.
Hall of Famer. Carlos Beltran.
I think he is. I think the cheating scandal hurts him a little bit.
Yep.
The cheating scandal hurts him a bit as a non-player?
Yep.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get in at least this year for that reason.
It
might
take him a while.
Still too fresh. Well, I think it's all about that.
But
as a non-player, but he was also a player while doing it.
Well, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. It's weird. He was like in the in the crosshair.
He was like that. Those NBA.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was a vet on that team. Cora was the bench coach. He wasn't the bench coach.
Yep.
He had the job. He was going to be the Mets coach, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they lost it because of that.
Yeah.
Like 4 days.
Okay, and then go Jack next.
Well, the next two are stupid. I mean, it's going off a cheating scandal. It's A-Rod and Manny, and I mean these are the two most obvious Hall of Famers on the list if you look at their numbers and stuff. I mean, Manny might two of arguably the greatest right-handed hitters of all time.
Yeah.
JTrev, what do you think?
Jack just took the words out of my mouth. Two best right-handed hitters of all time. While we're on the subject, I know Bonds and Clemens, they're off the ballot now, right?
Yeah.
So I would just kind of like to bring this up. I know it's been addressed in a lot of places, but How do we feel about those guys? And then the general consensus around steroid usage and being prevented from the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm going to take that one first, Jack, okay? So, A, everybody knows how I feel. They should be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
B, not that everyone did it, but it was if the league condoned it, they condoned it, and everyone was doing it, basically. And who knows what they're doing now. I mean, I think they've been singled out because of the increase in numbers, but all you got to do is look at, and Jack and I were doing this the other day with Pedro, how much more than the league average were they? So in 99 or 98, remember Pedro Jack had an ERA of like 1.75, and the league ERA was like 75. Right.
Time.
So I think they both belong in. Chris, what do you got?
I agree. I think both Bonds and Clemens had Hall of Fame careers before PEDs were even things. So it's mind-boggling to me. It seems like a lot of people were like, oh, so mad about it. Didn't let them in the voters. I mean, some of these voters are ridiculous. Like looking at a ballot and putting 0 on just to be that guy. They're ridiculous people.
Tom Verducci.
They're ridiculous people. So
Dan Chauncey. He always used one.
Speaking of ridiculous people, God. Those guys should be in it because it's not the MLB Hall of Fame without those two players in it.
But it's important to make the distinction between guys like that as opposed to guys like Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Palmeiro, those guys, right? Or do you guys think they deserve it too?
I guess that's actually a good point that I haven't thought about much. Yeah, you're right. But that's the same thing with like A-Rod and Manny would be kind of in the same category as Sosa and McGwire and them in terms of like they were doing it their whole careers and stuff like that.
I think A-Rod's a little different than those guys simply because it was noted like bad. He got suspended for doing it.
Yeah, he got once the stuff happened.
And he got suspended twice.
I think Manny did too,
Manny
right?
did
yeah.
too. Both.
So it's like
Both.
they knew this is illegal. This is not what you're supposed to do. Bonds, McGwire, Sosa, and all them, they did it because no one got in trouble for it.
Just the last point about steroids, you still have to hit the baseball.
Yeah, you did.
I agree with that, but yeah.
It helps you recover and get stronger and all that. You still have to put the bat in the ball. There are a bunch of guys doing steroids that weren't hitting 50 home runs and putting up the numbers that Rodriguez and Ramirez and Bonds and those guys were. So you still have to hit the ball. And they did hit the ball.
I do want to take the last word since I probably am the only one who's alive for all that happened, since you guys were born in like 99. I think for me it's hard. I always look at it I look at the eye test. I've seen a lot of baseball. I've seen a lot of guys play. And it's the same thing like with Jim Rice and with Fred McGriff, and Todd Helton even, and Scott Rowland, who just got in last year. It's really, to me, are they great players? Are they at the top of the game? A-Rod was at the top of the game. Manny, like JTrev said, Manny was at the top of the game with right-handed hitters. Palmeiro was good, but he was, and Sosa and McGwire were great because they ran their home run chase, and maybe they artificially inflated their 500 home runs. But it just comes down to me, I think A-Rod, Bonds, Manny, Clemens, all in. I think the other ones are questionable, but you never know. Schilling, and I hate to say this, Schilling should almost be in, even though his problems are a whole different world.
His problems are different than cheating, though. His problems are like he did everything in his power to not be in the Hall of Fame. Like he worked hard.
He did. And you all know how much I love Kurt Schilling, so it's tough for me to go there. But I want to give props here to my buddy JTrev bringing that up. That was great. We didn't even have that on the list, JTrev, so Tommy T is going to be impressed.
He is. How about, so those are guys that were already on the ballot. So the new guys this year, tell me, of these new guys, who would you vote for? So the new guys, Beltre, Mauer, Utley, David Wright, Bartolo Colon, Matt Holliday, and there's nobody really else after that.
Adrian Gonzalez, come on.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez, yeah, definitely.
Who would you vote for? Chris?
Beltre Mauer. That's it.
Oh, he goes Mauer.
Yeah,
oh.
Definitely. He's the best. He's the best catcher of a generation. Best catcher of a generation. Best catching season since probably Bench with this MVP season. I don't know if he gets in this year. He'd be on my ballot though. He'll get
Okay, I got your Jack.
Who him or Posey? Who's better?
I think Posey's got the 3 titles.
But I'd have to look at their numbers.
The
problem with Mauer was
seven's Mauer right there.
The problem with Mauer was this. He's a lot like Jim Rice. Okay, he had a 5 to 8 year career where he was a dominant catcher, and then injuries or whatever, concussions killed him, and he didn't catch anymore. Does he get the bump because he's a catcher?
Yes.
And then Chris says, yes, I got to go. I love how you defend your position.
It's the toughest position in the sport by far.
I think he's borderline, but I'll go with you.
I think because he's a catcher, he gets in.
This is contradictory to what I believe in, because I think if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. Like, what's up with this first, second, third, fourth, fifth ballot type of stuff? what I actually would do with Mauer is I wouldn't vote for him the first time, but I would consider voting for him like the 7th or the 8th time. I'm not kidding.
The problem
I don't
with
think
that
he's
is
the
you gotta
first
get the
ballot
votes.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you got to get the votes, though. That's the problem. You got to get the votes.
Chris
think
he
gets
got
to
one
year
from
7.
Chris.
I don't think he gets to year 7 or 8. I think
Yeah,
he's
that's the
in
problem he
before.
has. Jack, who do you got then? So let's all.
I have Beltre.
Beltre for sure, right? And you have Beltre and
Absolutely.
Mauer. You have
Absolutely.
JTrev. You have Beltre, right?
Beltre.
First ballot.
Now it gets tricky as we go on here. I personally would say that over Joe Mauer is Chase Utley. I think Chase Utley's better than Jimmy Rollins. I think Chase Utley almost had a better career than Scott Rowland did. So if you're comparing everybody to, you can't compare Beltre to Chase Utley. There isn't that much of a gap. I don't think.
I think Scott Rowland's a good comparison for Chase Utley, but I don't know if Scott Rowland should have got it.
Yeah, that's always been my
He's
issue.
just a defensive wizard, right? Defensive third base wizard. That's a hard defensive position to play. I think that helped him a lot. Second base, not the most difficult position to play.
Right.
So his hitting stats, I don't have. Jack has him right in front of him, but
What do you got for Utley,
Well,
Jack?
the Chase Utley thing that I like about Utley here is just so we're getting really deep into these nerdy stats. It's a bad
I like
look.
that.
I don't know about mentioning WAR 7, but it's actually a good stat because it takes your 7 best years, your 7 best WAR years, and combines them, and it tells you what your WAR is.
Yeah.
Of all these guys on this list, including Manny Ramirez, including Alex Rodriguez, including Todd Helton, all these guys, Joe Mauer's WAR 7 is second. It's higher than Manny Ramirez's.
I brought up the WAR 7 when
yeah.
I was talking about Mauer.
So second to who? Chase Utley.
Utley's second,
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Oh,
Oh,
wait, what?
Mauer's first, though.
No, Mauer's way down.
okay.
Mauer's WAR 9's terrible. It's only
Oh,
39.
yeah, right, you're right. I'm reading it wrong.
Chase Utley's 49.
That surprises
Yeah.
me.
And
I
then-
would have figured Utley had the longevity.
And then
going for him.
Rodriguez is 64. But
Right, that doesn't count. We can't count it, A-Rod. But good. I love the argument, and we'll know in January when this happens.
well, the argument would be that he in his prime he was one of the best players in the game because he had really good.
I'm surprised by that
7-year
Chase Utley
stretch
WAR 7.
where he had the super good WAR. So he for a 7-year stretch he was one of the best players in baseball. Where it could be argued like Jimmy Rollins maybe never was one of the best players in baseball, but he
won an
played for
MVP.
so long and all that. Jimmy Rollins did.
Yeah.
You're joking.
You know how it works, though, Jack. Those things
I'm
work.
pulling up Jimmy Rollins' stats.
So
He's
we have
his
right
numbers
here.
are
I got
like-
him right here.
No,
Not too
I
bad.
want year by year stats.
But let's look at this as we close out. Justin's got Beltre. I think we all agree on Adrian Beltre. The only problem is when he goes in, David Ortiz is going to touch his head because he hates it when that happens. So I think Beltre. I can go with Mauer, and I think Utley. Those are the 3 newcomers who probably end up making it in. Helton and
Not first year, though. right?
no. Beltre will first year.
Yes, but Beltre's first.
Helton, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Carlos Beltran are borderline close to getting in this year. Andy Pettit maybe, and that kills me to say that, but he could get in. Oh, I'm like, you might as well just shoot me, JTrev.
So Andrew Jones is a big argument amongst a lot of baseball people.
Yes, why?
Because look at his WAR in WAR 7. His WAR is 62.7, and his WAR 7 is 46.4. He had a 8-year span in which he was fantastic, and he played a lot longer than 8 years where he was not good.
Yeah, and he got hurt. He got hurt.
Yep.
He got hurt, but he was
And
a
he lost
great.
what he was great at.
He was the best center fielder of his generation.
Yep.
Defensively,
he
you would
lost,
count him.
he lost what he was great at after 8 years. I mean, he hit 434 home runs, and most of those happened in an 8-year span.
So-
All right, do you got anything on New Orleans before we go to the next?
Jay
No,
Trev, some of this.
Yeah, just real quick. So this is an argument used when talking about the Football Hall of Fame a lot. So, for example, Terrell Davis. Like when you're the best of your position or a top 5 player in the league for even 4 or 5 years, you're kind of like you're pretty not a lock, but you're under heavy consideration to make the Hall of Fame. So, you turn that back to baseball. A guy like Andrew Jones, top 5, top 10 player in the league for 8 years. You don't think that warrants like Hall of Fame consideration alone?
I think
or you
amongst
think it's more about
a lot
body of
of
work?
baseball people, it does not.
Yeah.
Because I think he held on too long amongst a lot of baseball people, really brought his stats down. He was a terrible hitter towards the end. I mean, his OPS plus is an 111.
Yeah, which is.
Really bad. OPS plus is like my favorite stat.
Oh man,
in
we're gonna go
baseball.
nerdy, Chris.
Well, I just think it makes things easier. You're 100,
Yeah, right,
you're
you're
an
right.
average player. Anything over 100, you're better than an average player. But 111 for a career 111 for a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a tough look.
So then I get the Chris. I'll ask you this, and Jack, we get Rollins ready.
Yeah,
Does it matter?
Well, it was a split ballot MVP. He had like the 10th best WAR in the National League. Utley's WAR was 2 better than him. It was one of those. He played 162 games and had like 800 at bats.
Okay, so
we'll give it to him because blah 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 blah.
I'm going to go around the room.
Albert Pujols should have won it.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
go
yeah.
around the room. Stats. Oh, we have the nerd stats. We have this. We're talking scouting with JTrev a little later. There's nerd stats, and then the eye test. We'll call it.
How many homers and RBIs did he have?
It sounds like Tommy T. What do you got? It
was more than Maz.
Are you looking at stats, or are you
If you're
looking
doing
at
it right, it's got to be both.
both? Okay, Jack.
It's got to be.
What was the question?
The question was, don't start yelling at me about Tommy T and Matt.
Was it eye test or stats?
What would you take?
Well, in baseball, there's really eye test isn't that big of a thing in baseball. It's like if you have the stats, you have the eye test. If you don't have the stats, you don't have the eye test. If you're hitting the ball, you're hitting the ball.
Okay,
what do
so
you mean eye test?
let me rephrase it. Eye
In
test
baseball,
being,
in football and stuff like that,
stop.
you can pass an eye test. In baseball, it's pretty black and white.
What
You either
about-
hit it or you don't.
What about
JTrev.
exit velocity? How's the ball popping?
Who cares?
off the bat?
I don't care
Eye
if you.
test.
I don't. Yeah, thanks.
Hold
Okay,
on, let's go.
He
Let
wanted to
me-
make a sarcastic remark. He didn't actually disagree with me.
JTrev ripping on Jack. I love that. Hey, okay, let me change the.
It's true.
Let me
There's
change
no,
it.
If you
Let me
don't
change it.
pass the eye
Okay,
test, you're
okay,
not going to have
okay.
good stats.
Let me change
There's no
it.
one who has good stats. You don't hit 50 home runs and not pass the eye test. If you hit 50 home runs, I saw you hit 50 home runs.
But let's say you had 50 home runs once, and you're Andrew Jones. I'm going to go with Chris. Andrew Jones has his career where he does great in that section. If you are the best player in baseball, or one of the top 5 players in baseball over the course of 5 or 8 years, should you be a Hall of Famer? Yes or no?
I think that's enough years. Yeah.
Okay. Yes
Yeah.
or no? Yep. JTrev.
Yeah, I'm a big time.
He
yes on
shouldn't.
that.
He shouldn't be hurt because he wanted to continue playing baseball. Sure,
Correct.
he wasn't at his best. He shouldn't be hurt because he wanted to continue.
If you want to look somebody up, look up Yaz. Because
Yeah, I was trying to think of a player
Yaz's last 3 or 4 years after 79, he sort of really fell off. Couldn't hit the breaking pitch anymore, which is.
But like how?
Who says
I couldn't hit the
even though
breaking
his
pitch
stats are terrible? Who says he made the team worse? Right? We got all these. This
Correct.
I'm gonna bring it up for the second time. Who would have thought? I might bring it up for a third time later in. But this new NBA revolution with the NBA OGs, as they say, these old guys that waste a roster spot. Everyone wants to be everyone wants to be the Heat and Udonis Haslem, where they figured his roster spot was way more important, even though he never got into the game
Yeah, you
to
got
the
it.
team. So who says?
I enjoyed Blake Griffin last year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to Prince Baker. All right. Switching. That's great.
He
Hall of
had a
Fame.
game. He had like 4.
Yeah,
we're going
yeah.
to the NBA.
Yeah, we're going to the
4
NBA.
threes
Go.
against the Sixers.
Yeah, we're going to the NBA.
They're still losers. They're going to Vegas.
You're going to. Hey, yeah. Okay, JTrev. First off, since I don't know if we asked you this last time, in-season tournament. What's your opinion?
So at first, I was very skeptical about it. For in a young person's body, I'm kind of an old-time attitude. I was pretty.
Wonder where you get that from.
I was pretty stubborn about it. I'm not really into the new. If things aren't broke, don't fix it. But I've loved it so far. It's brought a lot of excitement, and the NBA regular season needed something to. As much as I love basketball, the NBA regular season hasn't been my favorite in the past few years, and guys kind of needed a kick in the butt in terms of motivation and this monetary factor for teams winning the pool. I think it's just been a big boon. It's going to help ratings too, so I like it.
Yep, I'll agree. I like it, Chris,
Yeah, it's whatever.
Jack.
I like it. It's grown on me. The courts suck. Get rid of the courts.
yeah,
Let's go
horrible.
back to the normal courts.
Courts are horrible.
But no, it's gonna. I will say, like, it's gonna be cool if the Celtics are in Vegas and playing for something like meaningful. Like I said, I want to win the double.
Oh, we're getting some soccer references. Hey, real on that. Let's go to. We're going to skip the Celtics Bucks for now. We mentioned the 76ers, Heat, and Indiana, Eastern Conference teams. The Sixers almost been eliminated from the in-season tournament. Tyrese Maxey's effect is probably wearing off a lot. So, anybody, what do you think? How would you rank the teams in the East, JTrev?
I think the Celtics and the Bucks are in a class of their own.
Do you?
I do. I think the Bucks need some time. I think with Giannis and Lillard, I still think Lillard's a top 10 player in the league, more on the back half. He's a guy you want the ball in your hands at the end of the game. Lillard's awesome. Like, he doesn't have the efficiency numbers that you want, doesn't have the point of attack defense that you want, but he's one of the top 5 guys in the league I want with the ball at the end of the game. Giannis, best player in the league. I'm finally admitting that. It's taken me years to admit
Oh, come
that.
on. How about Jokic, best player in the league? You got to be kidding
Yeah.
me. No.
I think
Well,
Jokic is way better than
Yeah,
Giannis.
one A,
Jokic,
one
too.
B. I mean, I would take Jokic, but Giannis is right there.
Okay.
My point is they have 2 top 10 players in my mind. They just need some time. New coach. So I think they're in a class of their own. The Sixers, I don't buy the Sixers. I mean, they're the same thing every year. I do think addition by subtraction, trading Harden, new coach in there, Nick Nurse. I think slight upgrade on Doc.
Slight.
Chris throwing in the bombs on
You
the
think?
other side.
What, you think more?
So I didn't disagree with
Chris
you with the
throwing the
Celtics
bombs.
and Bucks being there because obviously the Bucks are still there. But I think the Sixers are there.
No.
I do absolutely. Doc Rivers and James Harden.
We'll see, man.
Addition by subtraction. They got
Ah.
a top 4 player in the league.
Correct.
Embiid, who the flat rule was made for, but somehow it doesn't apply to him.
So you're a Sixers. You're on the
Yeah,
Sixers
I
train?
think the Sixers
Okay.
are great.
And you're on the Bucks train because of Lillard? How can you pick Lillard? I wish we could call your dad because it's so much fun to call your dad right now.
Well, he'd agree with him.
Damian Lillard. I just want to hear Lillard. What's he past 31, 32?
So
Old man has to have the ball in his hands. He's playing with the one of the top 2 players in the world. Aren't you taking away from Giannis and his abilities by having him control the game at the end of the game? JTrev?
in a way, yes, but at the same time, I think Giannis is a guy who can dominate majority of the game, and then you're in a tight game, you need a bucket, you let Lillard do his thing. You want a guy getting to the free throw line, you want Lillard, or you want Giannis? You want Lillard. You know, like
I agree with this.
I think.
Oh wow, we got an agreement here.
So Giannis, if it's kind of been a little rough in terms of they've kind of been deferring to one another. They're not really playing in the flow of the offense. You don't want that going on throughout the whole game. I think you want more Giannis on the ball, Lillard off the ball. He's a good player off the ball too. So I think they kind of have to work it in more like that. But I think Lillard's real impact should be felt at the end of the game. And I don't think Lillard should be averaging 30 points a game like he did last year. He needs to take a step back.
Jack?
Yeah, so you're talking about what was the end of the game? Take the ball out of Giannis's hands. I'm gonna go back 2 years ago when the Celtics. I broke my pen. When the Celtics played the Bucks in the playoffs, if you guys remember, Game 1 blowout, the Bucks blew the Celtics out at the Garden. Game 2, the Celtics I think blew the Bucks out. Game 3, I think the Celtics played like garbage, turned the ball over. Game 4, the Celtics, Al Horford went off and won. Now we get to like crunch time, the games that really went down to crunch time. Game 5 at the Garden. If you remember, who won that game late for the Bucks? It wasn't Giannis. It was Drew Holiday. Yep. Game 6, when the game was tight at the end, who went off and won the game for their team? It was Tatum. It wasn't Giannis. And then Game 7, he didn't show up. So I think JTrev's right. He's not the guy that's going to close for you. He really isn't.
All right. I can't disagree because you guys are more NBA experts than I am.
I think from a coaching perspective,
Right.
it's also obvious, right? Like JTrev said, Giannis can dominate a game for 3.5 quarters. And as soon as you get to that last 3 minutes where you get that block defense at the free throw line and he's trying to run through 4 guys, doesn't work all that well anymore. Chris Middleton was a killer, was a Celtics killer, but he wasn't anyone else in the NBA killer. Drew Holiday, not the greatest offensive player in the world. And now you got Lillard to
But let me interject. The question, and we're going to go to the Celtics Bucks in a second. The question is this. How can a guy who's always, that's 5, had the ball in his hands all the time?
I think it was 6.
Okay. How does he change? And I think, Trev, you're right. JTrev's right. It's going to take some time. I don't see it happening, though. I do not see him seceding. Oh, is that the right word? What's the word if you yield?
Superseding.
No, whatever. You yield. Yielding to Giannis all the time. I just think that's going to end up being a problem.
And if Lillard doesn't do that, then my opinion on him as a player changed a little bit because I've always thought of him with winning intangibles. He really hasn't done that in Portland. You can blame him all you want. He didn't really. I personally don't think he had the greatest teams. I think that GM tried to do something different every year, and all the solutions they never really worked. But the way I think Lillard's wired as a player, I think he will be willing to take that back seat when he must to win. I think he's sick of, he won Portland. They won 45, 50 games a year and made the playoffs, but
Struggled
real
for
winning. I think he wants to win a championship. So
Okay,
Can I
Jack.
say one thing about the Sixers? And they're not legit because I will never trust Joel Embiid. Until I see it, Joel Embiid,
Intangible.
he quits, all this stuff. No way. There's no way Joel Embiid's
Unbelievable player.
Game 7 at the Garden winning that game.
He'll
Intangible.
scare me every single game we play him.
Yeah.
If he gets the ball in the low block, he's unstoppable. I agree with
We
that.
got Big Al.
Yeah, that's true. Big Al's intimidating him is the problem. Big Al.
He's got something on him. It's
All right,
weird.
let's go
Can I
around
ask
the room.
one quick question?
Yeah, go,
Just-
Trev.
A few seconds ago, Chris mentioned end of game offense, and I've watched basketball my whole life. I try to watch it at a deeper level at some points, and I can't figure it out for the life of me. We get to the end of these basketball games. Why does the game change? Is it officiating? Is it
I think it's defensive
so
effort.
the ball moves during the game, like you actually run offense, and then the final 6 minutes of the game, the ball sticks. You go iso ball, and I think the Celtics this has been their problem a lot of the time. Why does the game change so much at the end?
Jack?
I think it's defensive effort. I honestly think it's effort.
Chris?
Timeouts.
Okay.
You don't take your timeouts. You don't get to run a play for somebody, get a good open shot.
I think the NBA has always been a superstar
Yeah, I agree
league,
with that,
and it's not a coaches league; it's a superstar league. And the superstars then want to have the ball in their hands in crunch time, and some of them gag, and some of them don't. I mean, simple. But I think defensive effort always goes up. Jack's right on
The
that.
effort in the fourth quarter on
Always
defense
goes
is a lot higher than it is in the first quarter. 100%.
And then
I'm sure
I
there's
think
numbers to
I think
back
with
that up.
you always like you talk about Lillard, you talk about Embiid. Embiid should have the ball, and for some reason the Sixers. You're right, JTrev. The Sixers do not get him the ball.
No.
Now, is it that he doesn't want the ball, or they're not running sets to get him the ball?
Yeah,
so
you get him the ball on the low block.
I think he's unstoppable.
One of two
Or he
things are
gets
going
fouled.
to happen, or one of three things are going to happen. He's going to get fouled, he's going to score, or there's going to be someone wide open for a three when a double team's coming. As long as he gets the ball in that spot, even the high post, you get him in the high post, and he's unbelievable at that little free throw line jumper.
I've never seen him miss one of those.
It's insane. He's like the best free throw shooter in the league. He's not, but he is.
Pound for pound.
So you get the ball to him anywhere inside the 3-point
Good.
line, you're fine.
Okay, JTrev, you're the last word on it. Why? You asked the question, now you have to answer it. Why has it changed?
I think it's.
I make him answer his own question. What are you laughing at me, Jack?
You go, why? There was no question. What?
No,
No,
JTrev
no.
asked me a question. JTrev says, why is it different?
No, I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Oh,
That's the timeouts, like Chris said. It's officiating. It's defensive intensity. and-
Officiating's a good answer. We didn't say that.
Officiating blows.
It's also
by the way.
you have your
terrible.
best five versus their best five.
Yeah, and then superstars, they end up wanting the ball, and that's not a bad thing. They want to win you games, but no, I think a lot of them don't make the right play all the time. They just take the shot, and you live and die with the result.
The point on defensive, what I just thought, defensive effort is there's a lot. The reason it's like a lot more half court offense, and there's a lot less transition because I think guys are hauling their ass to get back on defense.
No doubt.
More so than in the first, second, and third quarter when it's all transition.
Yep.
So JTrev answered that question, even though I said why. I probably confused the hell out of you, JTrev. I'll lead with a better question. See, when I'm talking to Jack by ourselves, he almost can anticipate what the stupid question is going to be, and he usually can try to answer it in a stupid way as well. Because we're still waiting on Kevin, Jack, I'm going to skip Premier League and the NFL starting. Let's go to JTrev's job and scouting and coaching. We talked coaching with Chris last time when we had some really good conversations about that. So your role now is you want to be an NFL scout.
Yes.
And I do know
one
that
day.
the coach at Arizona never played college football. Fish.
Oh, Fish. Jeff
Never
Fish.
played college
Yep.
football.
I thought you were
So-
talking about Gannon.
No,
for the
so
Cardinals.
my question for you is, in your job, just quickly, what is the scout for college and what is a scout for the NFL? What are you looking for? And Chris and Jack ask questions as we go on. Go.
So in college, the term that's more commonly used is recruiting. So you're dealing with high schoolers. It's kind of the same process that you would take in the NFL looking for college kids. You're watching film. The film's not as advanced when you're watching high school film. It's usually just best highlights, so you can't really see the low points. You can't see full game highlights. You can just see their flashes, some of their traits, like, their best abilities. So you see a lot of their players, and you kind of have to, project a little bit when you're watching that film because, you only have access to so much. You're still looking for, things like character, That's when you get the kids to campus. You get them to camps, you get them unofficial visits, official visits, and that's when you can have one-on-one conversations with these kids and really find out how they'd be as a teammate, how they'd fit in your program. And then you contrast that, more in the NFL, looking for college students. That's why you have area scouts on the road. Usually NFL teams have about anywhere from 4 to 6 area scouts patrolling the country, divided by region. And these guys are the guys who, again, you get the feedback from on how these guys are as people, how their character is, how they practice, how they watch film. So those area scouts are really important because, they're not the ones making the draft decisions, but they're the ones accumulating all the information and, bringing it to the directors, bringing it to the GM. So
I got a question for you.
I'll go.
I was just going to ask specifically about you because you said the film and stuff you watch. I know at Temple they used to have camps all the time, and they get kids in at camps. Do you do a lot of the recruiting and a lot of the evaluating at camps and stuff like that?
That's more that the coaches kind of focus on. The coaches pretty much on the recruiting side of things, you're getting the kids there. You're sending out the invites. Mm-hmm. You're kind of like the advanced scout. But once you get the guys in there, the coaches decide, hey, do I like this kid? Do I like how he moves in the drills? Is he understanding what I'm saying? Is he, as a linebacker, is he dropping to the right spot? As a receiver, is he lining up? Is he lining up, in the alley, or is he outside the? Is he lining up where I should be lining up?
A good example was at Temple. I know Hassan Reddick was a walk-on. I'm pretty sure he's from Camden. They found him. He was at one of their camps. I think Matt Rule hosted camps and stuff, and he was at one of their camps. Matt Rule was like, "Get this guy on the team." And
same with Champ.
Look at him now. He's probably gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. No, one of the kids who Harvard just signed. He's a linebacker from Georgia. Wasn't even on the recruiting radar. Came to one of the camps. And the defensive coordinator, who's also the linebackers coach, worked him out, and he loved him, and offered him right after the camp. So,
Chris, you had a question?
Yeah, here's my question.
In-person evaluation is very helpful.
You've been at Harvard for a year now. Talk us through the differences between recruiting at Harvard than recruiting anywhere else in the country. Because you can go to Harvard officials and be like, hey, I got the next Caleb Williams. He wants to come here. And Harvard officials can be like, yeah, he's got a 2.5. He ain't coming here. It doesn't matter how good a football player he is.
Unless it's Tommy Amaker going to him and getting those players in.
If Caleb Williams wanted to go to Harvard, they'd probably find a way.
No, not Harvard.
No.
Harvard's tough. So talk us the differences between that and anywhere else in the country.
You kind of just summed it up very well. Before you can even watch the kid's film, before you even care about how they are as a kid, you got to look at their grades. You got to look at their GPA, their transcript with classes lists. Coach Murphy, who's been at Harvard for 30 years, he's had an AP class requirement. So if you don't take more than 2 AP classes, you're usually off the radar.
Well, I was off the radar.
Yeah, we're all off the radar. Okay. That was a good transition.
Our 40-yard times take us off the radar.
Kevin has arrived. Kevin O'Donnell's arrived from his business meeting. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Just got news that I'm going to have to work throughout all of Thanksgiving weekend, but everything's okay. I would have been a grad transfer at Harvard, probably not a high school guy, because I think I wasn't that great in high school.
What do you mean, for grades?
For grades, yeah.
Well, hold on. But wait.
What about your athletic ability?
Would you be playing football or baseball?
Oh, none of the sports.
I'm just kidding.
You'd be playing golf.
Okay.
So that's another. I didn't really make that clear. So to get into Harvard playing football, you don't have to be the average Harvard student.
Right.
You have to be a really good high school student. But you can say if you have a 3.7 GPA and you take an AP class or two. Have a decent SAT, you'll be fine.
Yeah, if Kevin was running a 4.4 and had some skill, his high school grades would get him into Harvard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kevin might be able to drive a 4.4. I don't think run a 4.4. Hey, one quick question for me, JTrev, and then we'll go on to bring the four in. Difference between tape and in-person analysis as a scout. What? How do you see that, and what's the difference to you?
Yeah, so I think tape is best used and, more of a body of work. So you're not just watching one game of tape, you're watching 3 or 4 games of tape against different opponents. Usually you're trying to watch, opponents who do things differently, run different schemes or different quality of opponent to see how the player is against different kinds of competition. There's a lot you can see on film, traits, really pop out like athleticism, but also if these area scouts, if they're watching film on these colleges who they're familiar with, they know the schemes, they know how those colleges are run, so they know what they're looking for in the film. And then you compare that to in-person scouting. That's more so character evaluation. You go to campuses, you see how they practice. You see how they look inside, with pads on, and how they look without pads on. You can't really see that on the film. Coach all 22 film, you're kind of far away from it. So there's some valuable things in person that you can't see on the film. You can't see how a kid practices, or how hard a kid works, or how he, treats a support staff or an equipment guy, or how he treats the trainer. So those type of things are really important in person. And, for example, there were about 20 scouts, NFL scouts, who came to Harvard's campus, and all they did is they talked to, me, the director of ops, the director of strength and conditioning, Ryan, Chris's buddy, the director of recruiting, a few of the coaches, to see like how the kid is, as a person. They didn't even ask about football ability. So that's more so what the in-person, scouting evaluation's about.
Did his teammates go to his birthday party?
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Shout out draft day.
Is it Bo Callahan?
Bo
I
Callahan.
got,
Oh,
I got
jeez.
one more
Okay.
quick question.
Yep.
So here at WCTV, they record all the games and post the entirety of the game on YouTube. I'd assume most towns and most places have the ability to do that. Do you watch full games if you can?
No, not really. Okay. Because, when you're watching, it's not like you're watching Michigan and you can, you're looking for five to 10 guys. You're really only focused on one kid, so you'd rather see more. Also, the quality of film is not great. You'd rather just see, a pared down amount of clips. Even in the highlight clips, like there's some, you can't even see the touchdown that the kid scores because the camera's too slow to pan. Or the high school film's not the greatest, but it's enough to get by and, be able to tell what you like, what the coaches might like.
Do you listen to the announcers in high school?
You should. That's what I was going to ask you.
No.
You should.
I miss out on that.
You should listen to the announcers because they're awesome. I have to say the WCTV guys are great.
That's yourself.
Oh, that's me. Shit. What are you laughing at me, Kev? Stop it. All right. Hey, that's awesome. I just fuck you guys are trying to.
You could have said. Okay, let's go to the NFL. No, we'll do that later. So my point about the NFL this year is I think it sucked. Right? It has sucked. So there's somebody else who I don't normally agree with who also thinks it sucked. Let's hear it.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. Yeah. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
And
why not?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. Mm-hmm. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott and guys that impacted the game in a certain way, and every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. You hear coaches complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. Offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to a defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game, and I couldn't afford to lose a good player.
Yes, that's Tom's take on the NFL right now. What do you guys think about that?
Who wants to go first? Jay, let's go, Kevin.
Preach, Tom. For me, I wasn't prepared to talk on this topic, but I do agree with Tom. The NFL now, I haven't been able to put my finger on it, like his example of just not being able to throw in the middle of the field and protecting players. Like, I get that, but I think his point on coaching definitely makes sense. I don't think the coaches are as good as they used to be. I saw a tweet of just people talking about older quarterbacks from when we were growing up too. I think the quarterback play back in our day was a bit better. Maybe I could be proven wrong on that, but yeah, I agree. For me, this past year is a great example. I've been watching college football religiously. I barely watch the NFL, so I just think it's more entertaining overall at the college level.
I'll back that up. I don't think I've watched an NFL game in about 3 weeks. So
Jack,
I think that he's glorifying what it used to be. It was like this in the past too. There were crappy games every week in the past too, but there's always crappy football because there's always crappy quarterback play. That's my take.
JTrev?
Yeah, no, I think the quarterback play is a big reason why you see a handful of games every week that are just unwatchable. I personally think that there's more good football than meets the eye. In terms of, I think if like for example, the Texans, they're not really a team that everyone was looking forward to watching this year, but every single Houston Texans game I've watched this year has been a good game. So like, I think the power, like the heavyweight games have been kind of underwhelming this year. And obviously there's been a lot of crappy football, but I think if you look a little deeper, it's not as bad as you might think. I think it's just the same thing every year.
Bad every year.
About Tom, though.
No.
He's talking about all the rule changes and protecting players.
Yeah.
Didn't Bernard Pollard hitting Brady low
the
start
Tom
all
Brady
this?
rule bullshit? He's
A lot of these rules came because of him and Manning and protecting him and Manning.
That's fine. We got to protect the best, though. That's I was.
Oh
okay
my
with
God!
that.
Here,
then don't complain
no,
about
no.
it.
Here we go. All right, my turn. I got all the youngins. First of all, this is what
Sure,
happens
be
when
no
you're.
bias here.
There's no bias here at all. This is what happens when you're 45 years old. This is what you guys give me crap about all the time. Every single one of you.
You're not
We're going to do,
45.
huh?
You're not 45.
Thomas.
No, but everybody, we're going to do a draft of something, and everybody's saying, well, gee, Bill Walton really sucked because he fucking ran around, blah, blah, blah. All these people, recency bias crap. So Tom is getting to be like me. He's old.
Tom is
No, he's old,
anti-recency, but he's saying it sucks right now.
No, recency bias for his
Because all you
methodology.
old guys can't accept that the game moves on and changes.
No, the game didn't change because of him, though. He's a big baby, Kevin. Don't get me going. But you know what? You always see it through the prism of how you played the game. So if you ask Terry Bradshaw, he would tell you, I used to play and they would knock my goddamn head off. I have a concussion for 2 weeks, and now look at him. So Tom's going to come. That's all I'm saying. Is this, whatever generation you are, the generation that you played in is always going to be better. The rules are going to be. They're not going to be as soft. The softness came because of Tom Brady, because Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had enough gumption to bitch and bitch and bitch about this getting hit below the waist or getting hit in the head, that things changed. He is the creator of that. But anybody, the guys I saw play, Joe Montana, Steve Young, we go back to Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas would really go to. It's all, and I recency bias from the person who's viewing it. So Brady always will say, my era was better. Ray Lewis, there's nobody as good as Ray Lewis. Christ, you bring anybody from that Dallas Cowboy defense, going to knock your head off, right? So, I understand what he's saying, but he's a crybaby, and that's all I'm going to say.
Can we just, with the microphone here, can we try putting it in the middle and you guys talking into it like Bruce and Stevie? You know how they sing?
My God.
Wait, go.
That's a great reference.
Try
God,
going
Bruce
in the side. Try going in the side.
Here we
I
go.
think this works.
Like you're kissing each other.
Go.
Does this work?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, it was in the 60 Minutes when they're going up, like making out with each other on the microphone.
Classic. I need to go to Bruce next year. I just have one question about that, Jimbo. I don't think Bill and Tom are bitching about like Brady getting hurt though when he did. I don't remember that.
Brady bitched every single minute he could bitch.
You were 8, Kevin.
No, first of all,
an avid
everybody
fan.
complains that if your superstar gets hurt, everybody complains.
That's fair.
The rules have changed to protect the quarterback because of what you guys are saying. The level of play of the quarterback in the NFL right now is I think, atrocious after you get by the top 6 or 8 players. And if you have 32 teams, if you have 10 good quarterbacks, JTrev, help me with the math here, but I think that means that you have like, what is it?
About 2/3 of the league.
24 players, 22 players who are terrible. So that's all. That's what I'm saying. Kevin, he won his Super Bowls. He did great. He was smart enough not to throw it over the middle. And those guys are few and far between now. The intellectual, smart quarterbacks who are 6'4", Peyton Manning himself, not Brett Favre, but other quarterbacks like that, those are few and far between. College game has changed. It's changed the pro game. JTrev?
I think what Brady said about coaching was one of the best points that I've heard in quite some time by anybody. I think it was an amazing point. I was listening to a podcast the other day and at the Athletic Football Show, and they were discussing Kenny Pickett and, some of his shortfalls. And they were talking about, how his footwork's off, how his throwing mechanics are off. And they were talking about how he's going to have to wait till the offseason to fix some of this stuff. Isn't there a QB coach in town isn't there an offensive coordinator in town who can help him?
Actually, no. Didn't they just fire him?
They fired the offensive coordinator, but the guy they promoted to offensive coordinator has been around for like 30 years. Can't he, what I think fundamentally, it's not, football's nowhere near as good as it once was. I think schemes are a little more advanced. I think offensive football in the last few years has been better than it ever was. The McVays, the Shanahans, those guys, McDaniel, not McDaniels, he's awful. I think those guys are doing stuff that's never been seen before. But this year, I think what you guys are noticing is defenses are starting to catch up. And I think that's not a bad thing. You know, I'm a defensive football guy. I'm a defensive side of the ball guy myself. So I like to see the defenses kind of fight back and adjust. So I think my point about the coaching was, it's not like, you know, the Dante Scarnecchias of the world, the Ivan Fears, the position coaches of the past that really focused on fundamentals and playing ball the right way. I think a lot of things nowadays are centered around athleticism and, you know, natural traits out of college, and there's not a lot of teaching going on.
Kevin, you've been watching a lot of college. What's your take?
I don't know how college really translates to the NFL. Like, there's a ton of great quarterbacks in college this year. Like, Penix, for example. Like, who knows if he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, right? So that's something for, I think, Trev and the real experts. You know, I'm just a guy who puts money on some games sometimes.
But you said you haven't watched a lot of pro games, correct?
Correct.
And is that because the Patriots suck, or is it because you just don't watch the pro game?
I mean, I've been watching the Patriots. I mean, it's a disgrace to watch Mac Jones attempt to, run his way through a pocket and throw a correct ball. But, I just think college is more entertaining. The fans, the whole atmosphere. It's just easier to follow along. And also it's on a Saturday, too. Easier to watch on Saturdays.
So you don't work on Saturdays? You only work on Sunday through Friday?
Yeah, unfortunately. I work on Sundays a decent amount.
We did have one game last week, which was a really good football game, the Chiefs-Eagles game. Jack, we'll go you first.
Fundamentals. Catch the football. That's all.
Chris?
I didn't watch a second of it because the NFL is terrible and I don't like football. So.
All right.
Wow.
That's a game, though, that's I think the NFL sucks, but when it's AFC Conference Championship week and NFC Conference Championship week, and then I get to Super Bowl, those are awesome. Unless the quarterback gets hurt and like a running back's playing quarterback. Those are awesome games.
This is where I'm at. There was a Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game 2 years ago, maybe, whatever it was. Ridiculous game, right? I fell asleep in like the third quarter of that game. Like it doesn't.
Well, yeah, that was like the best game of our lifetime. So yeah,
you play for 5 seconds and then you sit there and wait for 45 seconds. Everything people complain about baseball, they just do in football, but we don't complain about it.
That's true.
I don't know.
I already said that, Chris.
It's just a bad sport.
I agree with you, Chris, but I agree with Jack. I like watching because it's waste my time. I get yelled at by the wife.
My fantasy team's also not doing great. So
first off, he does not get yelled at by his wife for watching football. You don't.
I got yelled at last weekend because I watched Temple for like 6 hours.
That's Temple, not the NFL. That's a bit different. When you're watching Temple, it's like 20-point dogs and like mom wants to go on a walk. Yeah.
That's the only football I watch. Shout out UMass. Shout out Don Brown.
Kevin, did you get to see that game Monday night?
I did watch the game. I thought it was a good game. But that might be a Super Bowl preview, or probably will be, right?
I hope
At
it
this
is.
Point, like to your you just talked about the Bills, like they're horrible. Bengals, Joe Burrow's done. Who else is in the
Ravens,
NFC?
Jaguars,
Cowboys,
Texans,
Niners.
And then the Browns. What's his name got hurt? I would have said the Browns could have given some people trouble in the playoffs with that defense, but yeah.
Your Super Bowl pick.
Not anymore. Karma got Deshaun.
Yeah. Well, amen. It's a good thing.
JTrev, top teams. How would you rank the top 5 teams in the NFL right now?
In no particular order, I'd go Ravens, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, and 49ers.
Order it. I don't want no particular order.
Whoa,
All right.
the challenge.
All right.
Lay down the gauntlet.
So I'm going number 1, 49ers.
Really?
Yes. I think 49ers are full strength. I think those 3 weeks they were missing Debo and they were missing Trent Williams. I think.
So why didn't Purdy take him the promised land? Come on.
Purdy had a perfect rating last game. Do you know how hard that is to do?
Yeah, but did he have all his weapons back?
Yes.
So what do you
But
expect?
is this a Purdy argument or a 49ers argument?
49ers. But if you take one of those two players, McCaffrey or Samuel, Purdy is an average 199 pick quarterback.
I will
Ayuk's
not.
better than Debo.
I will
on my
not.
Fantasy team.
I will not disagree with you there, Jimbo. I think Purdy is great at operating that offense and doing exactly what Shanahan wants him to do.
Correct. I agree with that. So, okay,
yeah.
You got Niners first.
Yeah,
They had
Niners.
the great skill position. I agree with it. Go.
Yep, Niners. I got Kansas City too. I think with that defense, this is the best defense Mahomes has ever had. Great offensive line. They upgraded this offseason. That was already a pretty good offensive line. The receivers, I know it's easier said than done, and they lead the league in drops, but I want to assume they're going to start catching the football. An interesting thing on the Chiefs is everyone talks about how bad their receiving corps is, and it has been. But the last 2 years alone, since they got rid of Tyreek Hill, they signed Valdez-Scantling to a $30 million contract. They drafted Sky Moore in the second round, drafted Rashee Rice in the second round, and they traded a third-round pick for Kadarius Toney. So, it's not like they're not addressing the position. The guys they've just landed aren't doing their job. So I would like to think that talent will come together and catch the football.
They should have just re-signed Juju.
Yeah, or
He's been good.
They could have re-signed Tyreek Hill. I mean, they could have made the money work. The salary cap, it's a real thing. I hate when people say it's not, but you can get around it.
Okay, so you've got the
Chiefs, too.
You've got the Niners, Chiefs. Who's 3?
Eagles,
4,
Ravens,
and 5,
Cowboys.
6.
We don't need 6. Who cares about 6?
Yeah,
I Cowboys.
I think those are the
Cowboys
5.
beating the Niners. You better be rooting for the Cowboys, or you're not the president of the Dak fan club.
6, I'm probably. Oh,
Lions.
I am the president.
All right, who are you
Lions.
rooting for, the Niners or the Cowboys, if they play each other in the playoffs?
Cowboys.
Okay.
I hope they avoid them though. They've lost to them 3 straight times in very
Yeah,
convincing fashion.
Like we've always said about Dak, he's up and he's down. He's up and he's down. Final question on NFL: how do you
Dow
fix,
Joneser.
Yeah, I got it. How do you fix the NFL, Kevin? What do you think? How do we fix it?
Oh, jeez, I have no idea.
Get better players.
Rewind it 10 years.
Okay, JTrev, how do you
no
fix
idea.
it?
I'm good. I mean, I'm not. I really have no issues.
Chris, how do you fix it?
Follow MLB and change the clock rules. It's impossible in football because it's a tough.
Not impossible, but I agree.
But it's just there's too much waiting around time. But it's a tougher physical sport to play than baseball. It's tougher to move that clock up when
Takes
you got
longer to play a
300
football game
pound
than a baseball
guys. Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing where they play for 5 seconds and then they wait there and call the play for 45 seconds and it just makes me want to fall
Jack?
asleep.
I got nothing. You can't. What are you going to do? You change the whole sport? No, I'm fine.
And with the clockwise, I was at that Arizona game, Arizona UCLA. Every time somebody got hurt, it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds between. So you're sitting in the stands, and another play happens, another guy gets hurt, another 2-4. It took an hour to play like a half a quarter.
Well,
and I agree with on that.
You're the guy who every time you're watching a soccer game, why do they never stop the clock in every single soccer game? 2 hours.
Reason I wanted to never stop the clock, Jack. Why? Because it's horse shit. It goes.
I thought we couldn't swear on here.
I can because
Okay,
I'm the
yeah.
boss. No, it's crap. It's not. Listen, all of a sudden you get to the 45th minute, the 90th minute. Oh, let's add another 12 minutes. Just stop the damn clock. That'll stop these guys from flopping on the ground.
You're arguing for 3-hour games then.
No, I don't give a crap as long as that you know who the time is. Oh, you know what? I think that. Oh, let's say. He laid on the ground scrumming for 15 minutes. Let's give him 6 minutes.
If they exactly stopped the clock, those games would take 3 hours because I saw
What
the
do they
Balls in
take
play for
now?
60 minutes of the game.
They take what, an hour and a half, 2
so
hours?
the stoppage time should be 40 minutes. We can't talk about this. We have to get moving.
I know, but Kevin, what do you think?
They're doing a much better job of it. Like the World Cup, they did a good job of it, adding time back. If you want to play exactly 90 minutes, the game will take over 3 hours. So it's just never going to happen. But they're doing a better job now. The real issue is that players are playing way too much, playing in all these international games, playing in way too many cup competition, league games, and they're all getting injured. Some guy from Barcelona, a young guy, Gavi, he got injured, tore his ACL in a meaningless game. The real issue is players need to stop playing as much.
International soccer is more important than club soccer. Correct?
Ooh.
JTrev writes for France Football. Yeah, obviously.
If you want proof, the Chelsea women's coach just went over to the international side. Correct?
We talked about that in the last pod.
Yes, that's correct.
Jack did a good 5-10 minutes on that.
I know.
Well, Jack, you should.
I'm so stunned from that take from him.
I got it. I got it from Jack.
Had to.
Hey, Kevin, you should have seen last night Jack trying to explain to Kelly why all this time was or wasn't going off. She was frustrated at you last night, wasn't Mom? We were watching Brazil, Argentina.
No, she was asking why they were playing. She goes, "Why is Messi playing?" I was like, "Because it's Argentina." But didn't he just win the World Cup? It's like, well, now they have World Cup qualifiers. Like, isn't it in 3 years? It's like, yeah, it's kind of stupid, but it's what it is.
It's a tough game to understand.
Yes.
The whole ecosystem. Very
Yeah.
All right, we got to get college football. So Kevin's our college football guy here. Kevin, how'd your week go last week? You had the one game, right?
Yeah, I only picked one game. I should have made it my game of the year because it's but I didn't.
We'll wait.
Yeah, so I did Washington against Oregon. It was originally -1 to Washington, then it moved all the way to -2.5 for Oregon State. Washington ended up winning. It was a dogfight. Bad weather. My guy Penix didn't play that well, but I'll give him the weather excuse on it. But Washington lives to fight another day. They bumped ahead of FSU in the college football rankings, which is rightfully so, given the strength of schedule, the difference between those two.
The strength of schedule is like one's number 1 and one's number 2. How is that a big difference in strength of
There's
schedule?
no way FSU has the second best schedule in college
They
football.
do. They do. Go.
Where'd you read that?
I'll find that.
Who
out
have they
there.
played besides LSU week 1?
Clemson.
Clemson isn't a terrible win, by the way.
That's right.
It's
Clemson's
not
not
at
their win.
Clemson. Notre Dame lost there.
It's by one lock they lost.
Are you looking that up, Chris? All right, I like it. Go. Oh, Kevin, sorry. I was
Wait,
like yelling at you,
that
Kevin.
has to be a made-up stat. There's no way like Alabama or an SEC team or
I've never made up a stat in my life.
Like Penn State's played a pretty tough schedule. They played Ohio State and Michigan.
And they suck.
Yeah, they do. I
But
agree.
they're also got 2 losses. Florida State's got 0.
And
Go,
I guess
Kev.
the only other thing that happened last week to note of is actually Florida State losing their quarterback, Travis, for the year, because that has a huge impact on the rest of the season. Hopefully they lose at this point so they don't get in the playoff, but maybe it's like a Cardale Jones situation where their backup quarterback, balls out for the last 2 games and maybe they make a surprise run. But I can't see that happening. But we'll see. This weekend, obviously, it's just Michigan, Ohio State's the big one.
For everyone here, so it's rivalry week. Give me one rivalry game where you think there could be a big upset.
JTrev?
Florida over Florida State.
Oh, man.
that-
That's a killer.
Yeah.
Is that a rivalry
I'm
game
not-
though? What
Yeah.
about Miami?
Oh,
Like, we
no,
need
no,
the
no,
third
no.
team.
Hey, come on. You guys gave me... Hold on, JTrev. You know what's funny? I got to defend myself. Kevin, were you on the show that day?
The rivalry?
Yeah, when you gave me shit for picking the three-headed rivalry?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that was a
so
disgrace.
they have 2 rivals. They have Miami and they have Florida, and those are rivals. Go, Kevin.
I like that pick.
Are you a big Florida?
Florida.
I have Washington State plus 16.5 against Washington. I'm picking that, but I do think
It's
that
not an
could
upset,
be an
it's
upset.
just a
alert.
line.
No, but I'm saying that's the line, but I think Washington State could win that.
I'll give mine. I think
Where's the
Kentucky.
game? Is it in Pullman?
It is.
Over Tennessee.
Oh, that's a
Louisville.
great question, JTrev.
I think Kentucky could beat Louisville.
I like
If
Louisville.
that's in Pullman.
I like Kentucky's quarterback. As Kevin liked Kentucky's quarterback when we were rooting against Kevin at in one of the games there.
God, heartbreaker. Heartbreaker.
I
game
also
is it?
have Texas Tech against Texas as an upset.
You don't like Texas either.
Sorry, Trev, for your national title.
Washington was 13th. FSU was 19th. So neither of those two were even close.
13th and 19th. Do you hear that?
What are you looking at?
Sorry. My upset of the rivalry week is UMass over UConn. So because that's all I
That's
care
the
about.
rivalry.
I hope that
That's
happens.
awesome.
The cum ball.
My upset would not be Memphis and Temple because it's not really a rival. But I'm gonna go. I think that Georgia kicks Georgia Tech's ass. I think Auburn gives Alabama more than they can handle. Alabama might still win. I know you're shaking your head, Kevin, over there. And then I'm going Ohio State, even though it's probably favored over Michigan.
All right, starting with you, we'll go.
Me?
That's clockwise. We'll go you. Playoffs. 4 teams now. Quick.
4
Just
teams
name
now?
them. Go.
Georgia, Texas, Oregon, Florida State.
That doesn't even make sense. That is okay. That's the single dumbest thing that has ever been said in this studio. You don't think a Big Ten team is going to make the playoffs?
Oh, I forgot Ohio
You
State.
can't forget.
I forgot Ohio State. Take Ohio State in and put who did I put? Texas out.
Okay.
Okay. You're up, JTrev.
Yeah, sure.
You want 4?
No, I was just yeah. I was talking. Chris showed me something that's not related. Yeah.
All right.
Go.
So, Michigan's going to beat Ohio State. They're in. Oregon's going to beat Washington. I think a 1-loss Pac-12 champs in. Been the best conference this year. I think Bama beats Georgia, so I think Bama's in. They're the SEC champ.
Okay.
So now at that 4th spot, I think Texas is going to win the Big 12. I think they're going to win out. So then you're down to Texas, and you're down to 1-loss Georgia, who didn't win the SEC. And I also think Florida State is going to lose to Florida this week, or they have a good shot of.
So what's your 4?
Michigan, Oregon, Bama, Texas, or
Who do you think
Texas
they pick?
or 1-loss Georgia. Who are they going to pick?
Well, Georgia's
Texas.
1 loss is against Alabama. Texas did beat Bama.
Texas. Then Texas. I
You think
they leave
Texas?
Georgia out because the SEC hasn't been the normal SEC.
That's fair. I do like that. I'm going to do Georgia. I think they win out, beat Bama. I have thought this whole week that Ohio State's going to win. Yesterday, I woke up with real clarity that Michigan's going to win. So I have Michigan 2, Oregon 3, and I do think FSU is going to lose to either Florida or Louisville. So I'm going to go Texas at 4 because they win out.
I'll go Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State to be different. And so are we saying like Michigan can't get in if they lose to Ohio State? Is that like what's happening?
Yeah.
No, you can pick them.
I'm going to pick Michigan.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm thinking Texas is going to lose. Bama's going to lose.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then-
everybody loses.
And then that just becomes Michigan versus Washington, right?
That's good. We all have different top fours because I'm going to go with Georgia, Ohio State, Georgia, Ohio State. Who am I missing here? Florida State and Oregon. Those are going to be my 4 because I think Florida State will win these next 2 games. Nobody thinks they're going to. I think they will. I think Oregon wins out. I think Georgia beats Alabama. And then who's my last team? Ohio State.
You just picked the exact same teams I did. You make fun of me.
I didn't, but yeah.
Yes, you did.
No, you picked Texas, didn't you?
No, I took Florida State.
No, you took
I made
Alabama.
I made a mistake and forgot. No, I didn't take Alabama. Georgia.
We'll re-listen to this. I did not pick the
Florida
same teams as
State.
you.
That'd be real funny if you did.
No, I didn't.
I hope so.
I hope this happens.
All right, so
There's a shot.
real quick on that. If Georgia loses to Alabama, they're in, no matter what.
You think?
Is
You
that
think so?
Ingram texting him? Yeah, he's trying to call me too. Dennis, I'm on a goddamn podcast.
I got him.
Okay, thank you. All right, good. We'll look back on it.
So,
I'm sorry.
in that scenario, you think 2 SEC teams make it?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You just
No. In the scenario that Alabama beats Georgia, I think Georgia and Alabama go.
Yeah.
In the instance that something weird happens and Ohio State beats Michigan, there's an opportunity for Michigan to go as long as Georgia wins and Oregon beats Washington. It's the only way for 2 Big Ten teams to get in.
So you think Georgia makes it over a 1-loss Big 12 champ Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's because Alabama won it, but Georgia would. Yes, I agree with that. Jack, what do we got next?
That's what I got. So we should spend a lot of time. We have 45 more minutes. I know you guys probably want to talk about college basketball a little bit, but let's just make sure we can have as much fun as possible and get this whole draft in. So let's just start that now. And
What
then
about
if we have
JTrev's
time
mock
left
draft?
after, oh God, I forgot about
What about
JTrev's mock draft.
We need the
Oh,
mock draft.
the mock. Oh my
right,
God,
here we go.
JTrev, our scout JTrev with his mock draft. All right,
Mock draft. Right
JTrev,
there.
who wants to read it?
This is
Anyone?
my most anticipated segment.
Okay, Kevin doesn't know, so I'll read it. So with the first pick in the draft, the Chicago Bears select from the University of North Carolina, Drake May.
Oh,
With the second
upset
pick,
city.
with the
Upset
second
city.
pick in the draft, you don't do this by team though. You just had the teams listed. This isn't.
You have Drake May one.
It's kind of a combination.
Yeah.
I kind of pick and
Okay.
choose.
If the Cardinals go from one head case quarterback to another, that's going to be
With the
hilarious
second
in this
pick, the
draft.
Cardinals take Caleb Williams. So, Trev, you think Drake May's better? You would take Drake if you were an NFL GM and you were the first pick. You would take Drake May and not Caleb Williams.
I would not. I just think I think evaluators think that.
I just think his talent is
And
so.
I kind of wanted to stir the pot.
So I question for you, Christian,
good
real
job.
quick on that second. Yeah, he stirred it my pot big time. Why the hell would the Bears go from Fields to May?
Well,
I'm just curious.
I'm not-
I think I got number one. Why?
I'm not convinced they would. I think there's an argument to be made you could keep Fields and build around him.
Okay, let me ask the second question on that. Where did what was the kid they picked? Tribbiani, whatever his name was.
Trubisky.
Where did he go to college?
He went to the same school as Drake May.
Oh, let's go that. Let's F up one more time because we're the Chicago Bears. I'm sorry.
No,
They can't
No,
think
they have
that
a good.
way.
They have a
Huh?
good
They
history of
can't think that
quarterbacks.
way.
Oh, bullshit.
They cannot just because one
No.
quarterback.
They could have
No,
taken
you cannot.
CJ
You
Stroud.
cannot. That's malpractice.
It's like the Bulls. Oh, in the
malpractice.
70s, we took this guy from North Carolina, Michael Jordan. Can't do that.
No.
But it's like 3 years ago.
It's not
Jack.
great juju, but you can't think like
All
that.
right, so who's
Schuster.
number 3?
3, we have Marvin Harrison
Totally agree.
Jr. 4, we have Brock
Best
Bowers.
player in the draft.
I think Brock Bowers overrated there.
Fourth best. He is the fourth best player.
You
in the
think
draft.
so?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's just he's a tight end, so
It's
it's
tough to take a tight end that high.
The positional value is
Do you
tough.
think the Patriots would take a tight end?
No.
You think they'd take him?
No.
You don't?
Okay,
No,
the
but
one-
I think Belichick. I think he would be a Belichick favorite. I just don't.
But who would they? What do you think the Patriots would take?
Probably an offensive tackle.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So
I
with the
agree.
next pick,
I
the
agree.
5th pick, the Bears take Olu Fashanu from Penn State. I watched, was it the game against Ohio State? He was maybe the worst tackle I've ever seen play a football game. So
Good body
that's
work.
interesting.
Yeah, he sees him once. He doesn't like him.
Yeah. Good body
It was a
work.
big game. I
Okay,
mean,
who's
what
next?
Green Bay Packers, Joe Alt, Notre Dame offensive tackle, Tennessee Titans, Rome Odunze. Did I pronounce that right? Washington receiver.
I got a question on that one.
Beast.
Who is the better college receiver, Aduze or Harrison?
Harrison.
Why?
You watched him?
Yeah.
I watched them both.
I don't have much to say.
That's a bad question. That's like.
Harrison, if he came out last year, he would have been the first receiver.
Here's the real question.
just asked
Who's
the
the best
question.
out of these 3?
Can't I ask a question? I
No.
just asked a goddamn question.
It was a
You get all
terrible
over me.
question.
Why is that a terrible
Because I'm going to ask him a good question.
number two-
hold on.
the number two receiver.
No,
All right,
no,
here comes
even better.
Hold on, stop it. I
3
wanna say-
receivers?
I want to say something to Kevin. Kevin,
Yeah.
here comes a great question. Be ready.
JTrev is going to say, when I ask this question, JTrev is going to take a deep breath and be like, that's a good question. Let me think about this. These 3 guys are all coming into the draft. They're all coming into the draft together. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr. Who do you take?
That's not a bad question, but I'm taking
Not a bad question. It's a rigged question.
So
Can you please stop? These jokes aren't landing.
Chase was a very good prospect, like easily a top 5 prospect in the draft. But Marv's, I hate the term generational because that gets used too much. There's only how many. If you're generational, you're generational, and not a lot of people are generational. I think Marv is he was the best receiver in the nation as a true sophomore.
Boo.
But didn't Chase go second
As a
overall
freshman.
with after
freshman,
sitting out a
too.
year?
Yes.
Yes.
Chase, Marv, JJ.
Okay, so the
And
question.
I don't watch college football.
Actually,
That's just simply
it's a relevant question. It's a good
my
question.
thought process.
Then the question is, why is he not the Bears have 2 picks in the top 5, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
2 picks top 5. Why is he not number 1? They can't get a quarterback in the 4, 5, 6 range.
If I'm the Bears, I might trade the number 1 pick again.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
Say a team wants to ensure they like Caleb, whichever one they have number 1, Caleb or Drake, and say the number 2 pick, a quarterback, someone's going to take a quarterback there. I think someone could come up to 1. I think the Bears, if they come out with Marv and one of those tackles, I think that would be their best bet.
Okay, I'm just curious.
gotta take
I would take Harrison number 1. Why not? Right?
I think you got to take Williams because last year, if the Bears traded the pick, but if they did their scouting right, they'd have Stroud on their team right now, franchise quarterback. So you got to eventually take the chance with that guy. You have to.
You have to reset the clock, probably.
But isn't the reason they traded the pick they weren't comfortable with whoever they were going to take first for the quarterback?
I agree, but they were wrong because there was a guy there.
It's good process, though. That's how you have to approach it. You can't just take a guy because you need one. You have to, if you don't like a guy, you can't just take him to take him. Good process.
Then Latu from UCLA. Cooper DeJean from Iowa, cornerback. They have a good defense. Dallas Turner from Alabama, edge rusher. And then it gets down. I'll have Kevin. Well, that's the top 10. A pick you had 15th. You had the Raiders taking J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I knew. I was waiting for this one.
Whoa! We got a reaction from Kevin on that.
What does Kevin have to say?
Well, I wanted Trev to do like a top 5 or 10 QBs because I'm so confused. There's Daniels, there's Penix, there's so many out there. So you have McCarthy as your QB 3.
McCarthy is my QB 4.
So who's your QB 3?
Jaden Daniels.
Oh, okay.
Bo Nix.
Well, Bo Nix is my QB.
He's your QB 4. Bo Nix, right?
So I kind of approach this in terms of what the NFL teams might think, but my own little twist on it. I think Bo Nix is the 5th. I would put him 5 in that group. I'd put McCarthy 4, and I'd put Daniels 3.
What have you seen from McCarthy that makes you like him? Accurate?
No, he's not. He does good.
Throws the ball a lot.
Good measurable. I mean, a lot of
hands the ball off really well.
Yeah, he does do that. Good game manager. He has great athleticism, good intangibles. You can tell he gets it in his interviews. He's seen a lot of big game football. I'm not saying he's going to come in right away and play some good NFL football. He's got a little ways to go. But I think with his athleticism and dual threat ability, he could become a guy.
So, JTrev, he's Brock Purdy 2.0?
No.
Better?
Different type of player.
Okay.
He's got talent. Brock Purdy probably had, smarts. If you're going in the first round, Brock Purdy's never going in the first round. He has first-round talent,
right.
Which JTrev's saying.
Yeah.
And then 21st, you had Jared Verse from Florida State.
Auburn.
I feel like he was everyone has him in their top 10.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best year. I don't think he's going to test as well as some of those other edge guys. I could see him going. I like Verse. He's a good overall, well-rounded prospect. He's good against the run, good against the pass, but he's not as explosive as Dallas Turner or Latu. So
can I one more question, JTrev? Second or third round quarterback you can get that you see as the Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson late pick that would make some sense.
I'd probably say Penix, although that's a little bit of a gamble. I think he has that gunslinger mentality. He's got a live arm. The decision-making part of his game isn't where it needs to be, but I think if you get him in your system, you let him watch from the sideline for 2 years, I think he can be a player. It's just he's not a top 60 guy to me because he's got too much work on him.
And do you think Jaden Daniels goes first round or second round? I think he's a second rounder.
I think he's a second rounder too. That's why I didn't have him in there.
Yeah.
But I do think he's my number 3 right now because of how much he's improved with his arm.
Okay, Jack, you're on.
Maserati and Jaden Daniels for the Patriots. Who do you want the Patriots taking first round, Kevin?
First round, I want Marv.
You do?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's who I want. That's who a lot of us want. Let's draft. We got 40 minutes left. Let's draft. Everyone, so how we're going to determine the order? I have a random number pick. Wait, we got to say what the draft is. The draft is best college basketball players since Blake Griffin left college. So it's basically the best players since the start of 2010.
But we are excluding players because I got yelled at up in the room today.
Yeah, so 1 through... So
my life
I have a
yelled
random
at.
number generator. Pick a number.
5.
Actually, you know what? You'll be 1, you'll be 2, you'll be 3, you'll be 4.
I
you'll
want
be 5.
5.
Fine. I'll be 1.
No,
you'll be
I
2.
thought random number. You were going to pick a number 5.
You just made this so difficult, Jim.
I know, just because I like
You see what I have to work
1,
with?
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 5.
Am I
Okay.
5th?
Yeah,
Okay, go.
You
I'm
wanted
fine.
5.
Generate with the first pick is Kevin O'Donnell.
Oh, thank God.
With the second pick is me. With the third pick is Chris. With the fourth pick is JTrev, and Jimbo goes last, but we're snaking, so you get the double wrap.
I
around
know
there.
you. So
What
who
I
do we
want-
go? Kevin,
for,
Jack.
Before everyone picks, can everyone just
Are you 5th?
be honest? Everyone probably has a guy who they knew they were going to take first. I want to hear who Kevin takes first, and then I want all of us to say who we take first, then we'll draft.
I thought this was extremely easy. It was
Yeah.
Anthony Davis.
That's who I had.
Agreed.
That's who I had.
Dad?
I was going to take Jalen Brunson first.
That's a good
That's not
pick,
bad.
too.
Okay. All right, so Kevin has...
Don't take Jalen Brunson now. You're going to screw me, all you guys.
Kevin has picked...
Fuck, I should have said
Anthony
that.
Davis, but I do. Brunson was a good call.
Jack's going to pick Brunson.
I agree. That's who I would have taken second.
So wait,
Should have
Jack.
been at Temple and never should have been on this list. But
I might
his dad
cheat in
took
the
massages.
very first pick. I don't know if this guy
Cheat.
counts. I'm gonna go Kemba Walker.
He counts. We counted him.
I love a slam from JTrev. Love
That's
And
what
we
I
have
was
the-
going
and
to
we
take
have the
number
camera
4.
right on. Hold on.
That's not cheating because I know
Jack,
what
are
Chris
you
is.
writing down who's picking who?
I wasn't, but I'll
You have to.
write down
We should
my
do that.
pick.
Yeah, no, write them all
I have
down.
mine crust.
I don't have. You're the only one that have.
Here, Chris.
My pen
Write
don't
them
work
down.
too
I know
good.
what Chris is saying because his career started before
Yeah.
Blake's ended, but his 2011 year was
What it
unbelievable.
was you had to play more than half of your college career after Blake left.
I got you. Go. All right. Who's pick? JTrev?
It's JTrev, yeah. It gets a little bit tricky here.
Now it's about matter of what you like.
So I have a guard.
This goes against everything that I've stood for and preached, multiple times, but I'm going to take Zion.
Damn it. I hate you, JTrev.
This is exactly my list so far.
2 picks for you here.
I got 2. All right. I'm going to take. Let's talk about their college career, right?
What?
No, not how they played after. I'm going to go with Draymond, number 1 for me.
Nice.
And I'll go with Buddy Hield, number 2.
Nice, buddy. Good pick, buddy.
And Chris, you're writing these down.
Those might have been
I'm
reaches.
just writing the.
How are those reaches? Jesus, I can't win with you.
I'm just writing the.
Whose pick is it, Kev?
I'm going. It's
I'll
mine.
try.
I'm going
Oh, yeah.
strict. I'm going strict college. I'm not really factoring NBA.
I'm not either.
No,
I thought-
there's no NBA
Okay.
involved.
No, like I'm saying, like how
I'll
they
take
performed
Jason
in the
Tatum.
NBA.
Like, yeah, no, of course.
I know where you're going.
No, I'm gonna go Jimmer.
Yep.
Yep.
I had him
knew,
high.
I knew he'd go Jimmer. Jimmer's the white. Isn't he white?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's white and Mormon.
Oh, geez. And he hits like 50-foot bombs.
Yeah.
Who's next? Chris?
That's a great pick.
Sorry, Chris. Make it.
Am I?
I
Sorry.
think you're next, Chris. No, you have to
Take your
write.
time. We can take your time. We have time here. We're just
Okay.
going quick.
Okay, let me just write.
Yeah,
We
we
can
do it.
explain your picks.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So Jimmer, I remember that one year. He was
Oh,
just
yeah.
insane. He was pulling up from everywhere. He had a layup package.
2011.
Oh, it was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
You'd
What-
go outside and you'd fire up shots. Jimmer.
Oh, awesome.
Hey, you know what's funny? JTrev, Jack would go inside 5 shops and inevitably they just miss.
We know, I love how you can insult my bat. Like, oh no, I take that. I take offense to that. I made a joke earlier in the podcast. I couldn't make a layup.
I know.
All right, Chris's
All right,
turn.
I am ready. I am going to take Frank Kaminsky.
Oh, great pick.
Good pick.
Can you spell Kaminsky?
All right, so you
You
have
get
anything
double
to say?
picks, right?
National championship game, right? Kaminsky.
Yep.
got it?
Yes.
He beat the undefeated Kentucky Wildcats. So
What'd I put?
we need to stress we are not talking about NBA. We are
Correct.
not talking about NBA.
Jack's going to take
This
Jalil
guy
Okafor.
right here was so goddamn good, and he got it. Jalil Okafor.
Oh, yeah.
National
I have
champ.
him down here.
He was
Good
a
pick.
beast in the post in college.
Oh.
He would score like every time he got the ball in the post. Animal. Horrible NBA player. But, yeah.
Okay, you got another pick, Jack.
Oh no,
No,
is
Kevin.
This
Kevin
is me
has
now?
a double now.
Oh, we don't stake? Oh, yeah, Kevin.
Kevin's
won.
first.
I got you. Go, Kev.
So I got Doug McDermott,
Yep.
Oh,
Good one. I was going to
Hurt.
take him.
and
Yep,
then
me
I
too.
have Frank Mason from Kansas.
Good one.
Okay, do you even know what he did?
I watched Frank Mason back in the
You
day.
remember Frank Mason?
He's not that old.
That's
Did
in
he
my
transfer from Xavier?
No.
Any Xavier players on here?
So I got a big.
For my sixth man,
No Temple
Oh,
players.
Kevin's gone.
Kevin, you get to go again too.
Oh, you already did yours. Yeah, I didn't. You started like you were going.
Chris, you're all set.
Can I think for a second here?
No, please think, because it'll make us have to.
Do we
be
go
here for another
double
hour.
bigs and play real good double? You know what? Who? Nah, that's a reach.
Go for it. I would do it.
Everything here now at this point, it's kind of like you could say you're reaching. It's not like these clear, great top tier players, but I think if I paired this guy next to Okafor, who might not have been a great defender, and he can hit the outside shot, lost to the Frank Kaminsky team, I'm going Karl Anthony Towns.
Wow. Yep. I like that.
I just think he fits with Okafor pretty good.
I had him very high on my board, as much as I don't like him now.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he had a great he was one and doneer and went one overall.
This is where I struggle.
38-0.
Everybody's gonna struggle here.
Yeah, well, more so, do
Yeah, they
I
were.
want to take a player who I believe is the best player available, or do I want to take a player that fits my team a little better?
I want to know who you have as best player available. So
I think I'm going to take the best player available because I don't really care that much. I'm going to go Trae Young. And it makes
knew
me
it.
so happy that Trev's banging his.
That's exactly what I was going to take there.
So I mean, my backcourt's not going to play any defense, Kemba and Trae Young, but I don't care.
I'm going to do actually, this guy led the nation in steals one year. It's my turn, right?
Hold on. Yeah, JTrev, you're up.
I'm going to go Russ Smith, Louisville.
Nice.
love it.
Great pick.
He was those teams with him, Peyton Siva.
Yep.
Those are awesome.
He was 2-time Ken Palm Player of the Year.
I did see that in my research
Okay,
earlier.
good research, Kevin.
Good shout out, Kev.
Everyone got the same stat that they researched. He's the Ken Palm.
Two-time Ken Palm player of
All
the
right,
year.
double wraparound pick here.
Oh, shoot. I'm going to go outside the box and take Cade Cunningham, best player of the decade.
Good.
Wow.
And I'm going to go small once again because I'm going to go small, and I'm going to go with the guy that kicked our ass in the tournament one year, Victor Oladipo.
Nice.
That's a great one.
I don't think he kicked our ass. We just kicked our own
Well,
ass.
Buckets didn't play well.
Good pick, Oladipo.
All right. Who's up? JTrev, you're back.
I am back. I don't even know if I had Cade Cunningham on my list.
Because Jack had it to 2023, right?
Oh no, like
I would have taken Ben Simmons over him.
Well, I was kind of
Simmons. He was a shitty.
I was kind of torn on those
Hold
one
on,
and
hold
dones.
on. Stop.
He was not.
Ben Simmons.
No, he was not.
He was a.
He was the next LeBron James. He
Yeah,
was not.
but he
He was
wasn't
not a
LeBron
bad
James
college-
At
No,
LSU
no.
though.
That's
Whatever.
that's our.
Oh,
That's what we're talking.
No,
about.
but Cade was better at Oklahoma State than
Yes.
he was at LSU.
I agree.
I don't know
think.
about that.
I think.
Of course, you don't know about that. You going against your father, you meanie.
All right.
No soup for you.
No soup for you. Awesome. By the way, I got Jack on a bad Seinfeld reference. He didn't understand one of my references.
Which one was it? Why don't you give it to me?
Oh, what was it, Jack? Now I just.
Just well, I
we'll
don't
get
remember.
back into it after.
This, I'm out.
We'll get. No, it wasn't that.
Okay.
We'll get back to that after because now I'm mad. Now I'm the one that looks like a fool. I need a wing player. I know I don't. There's not many Nova fans in here, but I'm gonna take Josh Hart.
Not many know. That might be the understatement of the decade.
I'm a Nova fan. I want that known.
I am not a Nova fan.
Who did you take? Josh Hart?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. Which means I'm up. I'm between two Michigan State players right now.
Two?
Two.
I was gonna take this.
I know
guy with
one of
Josh
them. I
Hart.
don't know the other one.
Are you sure he didn't play for Michigan?
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Obi Toppin?
I'm going to take. Obi Toppin's a thought now. But I'm going to take
February 14th.
Denzel Valentine.
There
yeah.
it is. Yep,
Yeah.
there it
agree.
is. That's who I was gonna take over Hart. This is insane.
Who's the
Me and
other
Trev.
Michigan player?
I'll tell. Maybe
Michigan
I'll take
State.
him,
Yeah, I
so.
don't know.
I don't
Link
know the
that.
other Michigan State.
I don't have another Michigan State player. All right, guys.
I have two.
It's my pick here. National Player of the Year kind of goes under the radar. Hit one of my favorite shots in the history of the tournament against Kansas, Trey Burke. Made me fall in love with Michigan. I think he fits well with Brunson in the backcourt.
That's a great
I have
fourth round
him
pick.
very high.
Great
Yep.
fourth round.
It was
That
either him
shot
or
was.
Russ Smith.
I had Michigan in the Final Four that year. I'm pretty sure that was a Sweet 16 game. He hit that shot from like 40 feet. I went nuts.
I couldn't take Kemba, Trey, and Trey Burke. So
All right, this is me now.
Who's is it? You?
Yeah,
Double for Kevin, yeah.
Kevin.
So
So be 4 and 5.
this will be 4 and 5. I have
These are the last two. Then we got a six man.
We're doing 6 man. So.
I have two National Player of the Years here. I have Luka Garza and
Yep.
I have Zach Edey.
Ooh.
that's a lot of paint touches right
That's
there.
a lot of size.
Oh,
My bigs are gonna cream your bigs, Kevin. Cream your bigs.
I got AD too.
I'm going.
Oh, jeez, he has AD.
Oh my
Who's coming off the
Lord,
bench?
dude.
You can't play all 3 of them.
We're going guards.
Yeah,
Oh
you
my
have.
Lord.
You can't play all 3 of them at the same time, though, right?
Oh, no, wait. Let's wait till the end and we'll hear who's.
Yeah,
done.
yeah, we will.
Oh, I forgot to draft a center.
It's me again, correct?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so.
So I need to round out my starting lineup.
Chris, who do I have?
You have Buddy Hield, Draymond Green, Cade Cunningham, and Victor Oladipo.
There's a couple guys that since I took my guards already, there's a couple guys that Chris can really chur up that defense in the backcourt with. But I'm going to go with Obi Toppin here. He'll play as my 3. He had bounce in college. I thought they were going to win the national championship the COVID year. So they were 1 seed. Shout out Cam Walsh.
Were they
I
undefeated?
don't know if he remembers.
No, they were.
That they were. They weren't
am I
undefeated. They were going to be a
thinking
1
of San
seed.
Diego State?
A 1 seed.
I think that was the same year as San Diego State, right?
It could have been. I don't know.
It
was the year the
San
tournament got
Diego State.
canceled.
I just don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
if they were undefeated.
It was COVID year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like Obi.
It's like 5 years ago, it feels like.
I know.
Chris's turn.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to take from Michigan State Tom Izzo.
we drafting coaches?
No.
We can draft coaches.
Is the Michigan State guy a point guard?
No.
No. Okay.
One of them is, yes.
Yeah.
but,
I think I know who you're talking about.
I am going to take Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 3 guards, but he's big, so he's okay.
That Lonzo De'Aaron Fox matchup in the tournament was one of
Fun.
the best games I've seen.
Good. Big ballers.
And
Okay, I don't know whose
who's
turn
that?
it is.
JTrev.
My turn.
Yep.
Zion at the 4, Jimmer, Russ in the backcourt, Hart at the. So I need a 5.
You don't need a 5. You can play without a 5.
Do I want? I think I'm gonna go Thomas Robinson, Kansas.
I love that pick.
He's your 5?
Yeah, he was a 4 in college, but I think,
Okay, well, that's
He dominated that 1 year.
but you know,
He did.
I'll take
When did
more.
he get drafted? Like 4th?
Yeah,
Jim, you
he
got
went
2.
4th, Brewster Academy.
Yeah, okay. I gotta get a big, and I got 1 big left. It's my favorite player of all time. Jared Sullinger, center, Ohio State, had a great year that 1
Nice.
year. I'll take him.
Nice.
And
I
then
used to chat with him on Kick.
Jared used to chat with him.
You remember that? Do you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah.
We used to talk to Jared Sullinger when he was
And
in
then I'm
college.
gonna go. I get
thought
one
that
more
was
pick.
Deshaun Thomas.
Do I get
You
one
do.
more pick? I'm gonna go with
think it was
Jack's
both. Wasn't
favorite
that
player of all
lefty?
time.
J-Trev's right. It was Deshaun Thomas. Sorry, it wasn't Jared Sullinger. No way we were talking about Jared Sullinger.
Jared-
Josh Brown.
Yeah,
Josh
Youngblood.
Brown, remember him?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Jack's all-time favorite player. Always was the discussion with our friend Damian Lillard, who we could have taken 2 in this draft, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Lillard?
guess.
Yeah.
No,
Lillard would've
not
been-
really. I didn't
No,
have
he
him on my
would've made
list.
I'm going
He
with
didn't make
John
the tournament.
Wall as my 6th man. Help me bring the ball up if I have to. I could always play him as the starting point. I'm really small. I'm going to play a 2-3 matchup zone to keep you from getting inside.
Let's take coaches.
Make your bigger guy go. So I got Wall,
Yeah, we'll do coaches last round.
and that's
You
right.
Coaches
can,
last round?
you can fit your coach to your team.
Yeah, John Chaney.
He didn't coach in the.
He's dead though.
Go.
What did I pick?
You get one more player.
That's
Pick.
a coach.
Trevor.
No, you have a player.
Okay.
We have
Yeah,
one
you
more
got-
player pick, and then we'll go around and do coaches.
So 6 man here. I'm down. I was thinking George's Niang, but has Shabazz been taken?
No,
Shabazz
Spaz
is
is
not-
not going.
I'm gonna take Shabazz.
Of course, you take Georgia Niang. He's your boy.
Niang was awesome at Iowa
Shabazz
State.
Napier.
Shabazz Napier.
Very
He's
good
from
player.
Roxbury, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Local product.
I'm up.
Yes, Chris.
I have 3 point guards, so I don't want to take another one, but I really want to between Carson Edwards, Cassius Winston, or shout out my West Virginia pressing guy, Javon Carter. Love that man. But I'm going to take Adrian Payne. He was my other Michigan State guy.
Did he pass away?
Potentially, yes.
He was probably in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Not a good joke. He actually
No,
passed
I
away.
think he did. I think so.
Yeah.
If we're thinking of the right guy.
Yeah. He didn't.
Jack, you're up.
Yeah. So this is embarrassing that you didn't take him, Dad. But
Me?
he's my favorite college player. Probably one of my favorite athletes ever. It might.
Fred VanVleet?
I love the way my team's going. I love the way it's looking. This could hurt me with the public, but if you know, you know. This dude got buckets. Khalif Wyatt. In the tournament, he played a tournament where he scored 32 points in back-to-back games. He almost single-handedly, with zero help from his team, beat number 1 seed Indiana with Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo. Player of the
good pick.
year, nobody could score the basketball like him. Nobody, honestly.
Not a bad pick.
Old
yeah.
school player.
And he really liked
my
it.
6th man.
He liked the women of the night in Atlantic City, too.
Yeah. Hey, do what you got to do. 21st birthday.
I love Khalif. I can't come. I do have to admit, he was bigger Jack fan. Jack's bigger fan than John Wall was Khalif. He loved Khalif. Khalif's on the bench now. I get a score. Okay, who's up?
I think I'm the last pick.
Kevin
right?
is, yeah.
So Luka Garza is going to go to my bench as a sixth man. I'm
Why?
going because I have too many bigs. I'm picking Malcolm Brogdon.
Love it.
First and second team All-American back-to-back years, ACC Player of the Year, and national champion. Wasn't that great on the Celtics. Well, he was, but I didn't like him.
Coach.
Sean Miller.
That was the dumbest pick ever. You had the easiest pick.
You had
Pre
easy-
FBI.
what was the easiest
Brogdon won the
pick?
Coach
national
K.
championship. Brogdon won national
Oh,
championship.
Jack's going Coach K.
Coach K won 2 national championships in this decade. What are we talking about?
I didn't realize. he was
then
on-
I'm
Recruited the
gonna
crap out of people.
I'm going to take Jay Wright. That's an obvious
Jay Wright won 2
pick.
national
That's a good pick,
championships,
too, yeah.
Obvious pick.
I'm taking John Calipari.
Trev's up.
I'm gonna take controversial. I'm gonna take Rick Pitino. I need to get my guys
He
in
did
line
win.
defensively.
You got Russ, right?
He did win.
Oh, I do have Russ Smith too. Yeah.
Who do you have?
Next?
Yep.
I'm taking Mark Few.
Okay. A guy I wanted to take just to be like outrageous, but I was going to take him because I thought Kevin would take Coach K. I was going to take Fred Hoiberg. I thought he was a really good coach. And then another one would be Billy Donovan.
I can't believe Coach K didn't get
Donovan.
picked.
When did Donovan leave Florida, though?
I don't know. They got a 1 seed, though, with him like
They won 2
in this decade. Yeah, but that
That
was
was
wrong
this
decade.
decade.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you want to read off the teams?
Oh, here we
Yeah.
go. Here we go. Watch,
let
hey,
me
hold on.
just read
Time
it.
out.
Actually, let me say, can I just say my honorable mentions?
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
I got Barnes.
I had this guy. He didn't get picked.
Yep.
I would have picked him, but I took Brunson. I had this. He's the most underrated player ever, and again, it's a personal favorite. Final 4 most outstanding player, Tyus Jones. I mean,
Yeah, I saw
he
him.
was outrageous in that tournament. He was outrageous that year. Very underrated. I also had Fred VanVleet.
Yep.
Great for Wichita State. I had was a pandering pick. I had Antoine Davis of Detroit, who played 5 years, but he's second to Pistol Pete in scoring.
By 4 points. Only 4 points.
Only
shy.
but he did play 5 years.
But he
5
played
years
an
with
extra
the 3-point shot.
He played 5
Yes.
years, averaging like
5 years
24 a
with
game.
the
He still
3-point
didn't
shot.
beat Pistol Pete.
With
That
the
shows how
3-point
good
shot.
Pistol
5
Pete
years
is.
with a 3-point
Thank you.
shot.
Drew Timme, I had.
Yep.
I had him. Game. I was going to pick
Grant
him.
Williams,
Yep.
Yeah. He,
T.J. Warren,
Didn't have him. Brewster Academy.
Kyle Wiltshire,
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
the Morris
Cody
twins.
Zeller,
Had him on my list.
How about the
Caleb Swanigan, also
All right.
rest in peace.
Robbie Hummel.
How about the
Robbie
Morris
Hummel.
twins?
Robbie Hummel's a
They
good
were
one.
way before. Jakob
They
Pertl,
weren't, were they?
Who?
Jakob
Morris
Pertl,
twins.
Hunter Dickinson. The way Hunter Dickinson played against Kentucky in that game I watched, he played like God.
What
And then
about-
I have Oscar
Kentucky has
Schwebe.
What about
Trey Mitchell
Jabari?
as their
No?
Schwebe,
5.
I had.
I thought about
was picking.
Jabari. He was really good. He was really good in college. He was, but they really didn't win anything.
I'm a
How about
like
this
the way
one?
Okafor did.
How about this name? Kenneth Fareed.
Wow.
I
Wow.
thought about
The
picking
Manimal?
him.
Wow.
I thought
he-
about picking him.
Wow. I don't know.
Did he
I didn't
have
think
2
about him.
moms?
Where'd he go to school?
I think he had 2
Morehead
moms.
State.
Morehead State, yeah.
I didn't even think about him.
Kevin, Chris, look up. Did he have 2 moms?
I'm not going to look.
I think Kevin Freed. I think
I-
Kevin Freed had 2 moms.
I wanted Scotty Barnes too, just on defense alone. But all right, so the teams.
Jalen Suggs.
Wait. I get to pick one, right?
No, you're done, dude.
Kevin has honorable mentions.
Honorable, yeah.
oh, you-
Honorable mention.
honorable.
Kevin, who
I
is it?
have Armando Bacot.
He's still playing, I saw.
Yeah, he is.
I like
Clean.
Topedo better.
Who?
Cle Anthony Early.
Another
Oh,
good.
there's
That's
a great
Wichita
name.
State, right?
Perry Ellis
Played
And-
for a trillion years.
and Tyler Zeller, who I think had 2 years of eligibility post
Where'd
Blake
he
Griffin,
play?
UNC.
Okay.
Tyler's.
Cody was better, right?
I'm gonna. We missed a lot of the current guys.
And Trayvon Blewett. Shout out Xavier.
Okay, and I have Jabari Smith, Pablo Banchero, who had a great
Yeah.
year at Duke, and Brandon Miller, who had a great year shooting.
Yep.
He shot really well, especially into a car.
Shout
He
out
was an
Chaz
accessory.
Williams too. I almost picked Chaz Williams.
Yep.
Shout out UMass.
Wow.
Very good player.
He didn't even make the list.
Well, what's his name?
obviously
St. Paul.
he didn't make
Andrew
it.
Nicholson.
Good shout. Andrew Nicholson, the Bond.
Two Holloway.
Wow.
Kevin missed that.
Wow, what an oversight.
How about
He was
anybody that was in that fight?
All right, so Kevin's
Okay,
team.
go, Chris.
Starting at the 1, I'd imagine will be Malcolm Brogdon. Starting at the 2, Frank Mason, unless you wanted to switch that.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Doug McDermott at the 3. A lot of athleticism there. Not.
Buckets, though.
I think Doug McDermott's a great pick. Don't be
Yeah,
bullshit.
I forget who
obviously.
my 3 is.
I
so
was
I'm-
gonna pick Doug McDermott if he didn't. So Anthony Davis at the 4, and Zach Edey at the 5. That is a lot of paint touches.
Who's coming off the bench?
With Luke Garza coming off the bench.
It's gonna be tough to score down low on them, though.
Jack's team: Jalen Brunson at the 1, Trey Burke at the 2. Maybe
He's
flip-flop.
small.
No, Brunson's my point guard.
You're
Sure,
small.
yeah.
Yeah,
Brunson's
that's
running
very
that.
small.
Yeah.
Toppin at the 3, Okafor at the 4, Cat at the 5, or switch it.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Good line.
Okafor's more of a 5, and
Position
Cat
small,
can stretch the floor a little bit more.
Positionless. I will go.
Who's this 5?
Okafor and
Okafor,
Anthony
Cat.
Towns.
Oh, Towns, yeah.
Kemba,
don't like him.
Kemba at my
It's
1.
awful.
Trey at my 2, Lonzo at my 3. Doesn't matter. They can all handle the ball. Denzel Valentine at my 4, and then Frank Kaminsky with his 7'1" body at the 5.
Small ball right there.
Small ball.
Chris versus Kevin's team. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I'll take my team all day long.
Of course
Imagine
you will.
Doug
You-
McDermott trying to cover
cour-
Lonzo Ball.
Of course you'll take your team. You just drafted it. You better take your team.
Imagine Doug McDermott trying to cover Lonzo Ball. Oh, my Lord. And Denzel
I'll
Valentine was a
stand by my
grinder.
guys.
I'll just zone him up.
I'd be worried about Anthony Davis just because he's
Kevin,
the obvious best
we'll
player in this
zone him up.
draft.
Yeah, I'll have Jim on the coaching staff.
Zone
Sean
me
Miller.
up with Trey and Kemba and Kaminsky?
What?
Oh, okay. Why
Whatever.
not- okay. I love how you're bragging about your team. You get to
Of course
read
I
them.
am. Trev at the 1, I don't know, Jimmer, Russ Smith, or Josh Hart?
Russ.
Russ, yeah.
That makes sense.
Russ Smith at the 1, Jimmer at the 2, Josh Hart at the 3, Zion at the 4, Tom Robb at the 5 with Napier off the bench.
Who's the 4? Zion?
4. That's a well-rounded team.
Who's the 5?
That might be the best team.
Whoa.
Who's the
Tom
5?
Robb.
Come on, Kevin. Don't make me blush.
Tom Robb. Okay.
I love Tom Robb.
Don't make JTrev blush. I stole like 4 of his picks.
All right.
Anyway, and Jim's
This
at
is
the
the best
at the
team.
1, Cade Cunningham, 2, Buddy Hield, 3, Oladipo, 4, Draymond, 5, Sullinger with John Wall off the bench.
Yeah. Coach
I got the
Bummer.
best coach, so I'm gonna
Who's
win.
your coach?
Jay Wright.
Yeah, Coach K is a terrible coach. Anytime you have Coach K, you're at a
Jay
disadvantage.
Jay
Right.
Wright's the best coach of those 5.
Jim's guy.
Yeah, right.
No
Okay.
doubt about it.
Why don't you take Frank Martin? All right, so we'll leave that out to the podcast friends. Who
Frank
are,
Martin beat Zion Williamson.
I will tell you something. Whoever actually is listening to us an hour and 30 minutes into this podcast, God bless you all. We'll play this. I'm actually gonna. What?
I have something. I just want to make sure I get my lock of the weekend.
Oh, we'll do that.
We got to do locks. Oh, yeah.
We got 2 more things to do. Locks are coming up. Just
okay.
if you're listening,
You were making it seem like we were wrapping it up.
I was getting nervous.
no, chime in because nobody's listening anymore. It says, Jesus, I got listen to these freaking
Nobody
young
was
guys.
listening at the start.
That's true. All right, so we got to lock up. Well, actually, somebody might be.
We probably have like a pretty good retention rate of viewers because if you're watching at the start, you're going all the way.
That's true. All right. Thanks, Chris, for doing the secretarial work there.
Yep.
Jack, we're going to lock of the week.
Kevin, what's your record?
In locks?
Yeah.
5-1, I think, at this point.
Good.
I have a Black Friday special. I have Missouri -7.5 against Arkansas.
I got to get these lines because I have it at -9 on my thing. So can
First
you
of all-
look up a line for me if I give you one?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
question, Kevin. Can you pick those 2 states out on a map?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
You sure?
Missouri
Yes.
and Arkansas?
Yes, I'm very
You're
certain.
positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm more certain as I think of it.
I don't think I could.
Okay.
If that makes you feel better, Jim.
Have you guys ever done the blank map test?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Remember we did that in 8th grade, first day of school? I was me and Ben Maynard, only 2 to get 50 out of 50.
You know who still teaches,
Not a
Jack?
chance I would have had that. Me?
Devakari is still a teacher.
This was Miss Jackson.
Mr.
Yeah, I
Vine.
was talking about Mr.
Devakri.
Devakri in my class. They were asking me who I had for 4th and 5th grade. I was like, I had Devakri for 1 period a day.
All right, Chris, what do you got?
I retired on college football big time.
Well, lock of the week could be anything.
I don't have for a week right now. I got some games going. I'm currently. I just want this on record because this is all that matters. I'm currently 26, 1-10 in college basketball.
Good.
Right now.
I have to bet with you.
Yeah, I'm balling out. I got 8 bets running right now, so we'll see. I got the under 130 for Villanova, Texas Tech. That's looking not great. I got the under 140 for Tennessee, Kansas. That's looking decent. I've got JMU +3 or -3. I got Duquesne +7, Loyola Chicago +19, Purdue -3.5, and under 141 SMU, Wisconsin, and Gonzaga -F.
Good.
We'll see what happens.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
My lock of the week here is I need Kevin to give me the line. Do you have the line for the Clemson South Carolina game?
Oh, it's like 7.5.
So I'll take Clemson -7.5. I've been riding Clemson ever since Kevin put me in that little box with his lock of the week, and I'm 2-2 in locks. And I think both of my wins have been Clemson, so we'll go with Clemson again. Clemson -7.5 at South Carolina. Could be a tough game, but they've been playing good football.
It is 7.5.
Good.
My lock.
I'd rather it be 7, but
my
whatever.
lock of the week is against my least favorite team that ever existed and coach that ever existed. I'm going to go with Ohio State, but I don't give a crap what the line is.
You're getting 3 points.
I'll take the 3, lock of the week, Ohio State. I hope that Jim Harbaugh just gets fired and goes to the Chicago Bears and gets fired from there, and then he has to just like wallow in his Christian bullshit that he preaches. That's what I got.
Another swear.
That wasn't a swear.
You're not supposed to talk about religion, politics.
You get an FCC fine.
No, not for that word.
If you said that on the radio airwaves, if you said the S word, yes, you would. You can't say that word.
Listen, Jimbo's retired. Like it doesn't.
I'm gonna get fired.
I'm complaining because he gets mad at me when I say when I swear in this
The only
program.
real word. Listen, first of all, the only
Don't
real
say
word
it.
we should say is the F word.
Well, there's more than that, but
Well, the 7 words you can't say on television. You can't say. George Carlin. All right. Since I got you guys all here, this is for me to finish the show. I just want to. Everybody's going on a trip. We've all gone together, like on 4 trips: football trip, basketball trip. We went to Notre Dame, down to Philly. I just want to go around the room and start with you, JTrev. Just one memorable moment of one of the trips that we took, and it doesn't have to be funny. It's just going to be something to remember that we did, and we'll go with that. So you go first, JTrev.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with the funny. I think I'm gonna 2 stories in one here, both involving sandwiches. So one of
This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous. No, not a chance that this
just
is.
look. You can trash on him as much as you want with some of the dumb things he's done on these trips.
So
That's my next one.
we're on the way. And stop over in Connecticut at a Subway sub shop, and we're in line, and the nice Subway worker asked Chris's turn to order a sub. Asked Chris, would you like a 6-inch or a 12-inch sub? And Chris said, yes. And all you listening might think like, oh, like that's not like the big. Like, what's so funny about
Which
that?
you'd be correct.
It was.
You
No,
would
it was
be,
hilarious.
but
It was
we were
hilarious.
all standing there, and we all could not stop laughing. And it was the talk. It made the ride from Connecticut there make like it would seem so short because
Couldn't
that's all we were
understand the
talking
guy.
about. It was awesome. And then Wawa, my beloved Wawa, the only time I've ever been is on these Boyle trips. I love it there. Great chicken salad sandwich, right, Jim?
Yes, sir.
And Kevin ordered a turkey club, and he didn't get everything that a club entails. So it was a turkey and cheese on bread. That was it.
And they were very confused about how to make. They were like, "Is this what you actually want?"
Yeah, and I had to go in and tell him, just give him a turkey sandwich.
Unbelievable.
In my defense on that one, there was no option for a turkey sandwich, so I had to go Turkey Club at that point in time.
There
to
was
get
an
the turkey
Kevin.
sandwich.
There's always an option for a turkey
Absolutely
sandwich.
an option.
All right, then
all
I
right.
just wasn't smart enough to find it.
That's okay. It was a fun trip, though.
I have 2. We walked past the Trump Tower in Chicago, and JTrev, we're walking by it, goes, was that named the Obama Tower before?
We should specify this was when Trump was the
You
president.
just
so he
ruined that story. Absolutely ruined
How
it
do you-
by not giving background information and just saying
What
that.
did I miss?
Bad.
All right,
Yeah,
here I'll tell the story. So we
Okay,
get into
Jack's
Chicago.
gonna
If you've ever been to
What did I
Chicago,
miss?
Bad for
Nothing.
you
Don't
see
listen.
the
Don't
Trump.
listen to these two guys.
You see the Trump Tower. It's right along the water there. It's a big building, and we got there. It would have been 2017, so Trump was the president, and it was right after Obama was the president. So JTrev looks at the tower and it says Trump Tower on it. And JTrev, not knowing that like Trump owns businesses, he thought like that was like a government building that they put the president's name on. So he literally dead serious. He wasn't making a joke. He goes, "Was that called an Obama Tower before? Did that used to be called Obama Tower? It's like it's the Biden Tower now."
Much better version of the story. Thank you, Jack.
Kevin, don't listen to them.
It's a great memory.
I didn't feel the need to provide any context. But the other story, it's not even a story. I just really loved going to Notre Dame, that game, going to the campus. I remember telling my parents after going there, I was like, this is legitimately heaven on earth. Loved it there. So on a serious note, that was a great trip that we did.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Chris, you're up.
Yeah, I'll go sentimental too. Going to the Palestra was unreal. Great. I'm sure there's a billion funny stories, and I can't think of one off the top of my head right now.
Well, we did take Tommy T to the Palestra once.
We did take Tommy T to the Palestra.
The streamers.
So yeah, the Palestra was awesome. Awesome place to watch a college basketball game.
Oh,
Hurts the butt.
Aren't you going to tell the Pats and Gino story?
I don't know.
Well, we've told on this podcast before when Kevin got a hot dog at Pat's and Gino's.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Which
My
is like, yeah,
favorite,
the most famous.
another food story with Chris is we go to the farmer's market and Chris buys this huge bag of candy.
Hell yeah, I think I went
I
through
think you
every
still
last
have
one of
some
it.
left.
I think Rob came up in his attic, which we were saying. He's like, it smells like farts in here. But my favorite memory, and sadly it didn't include Kevin. He should have been. I wish he was on this trip, but it was the first trip we took. We had Tommy T with us. We went to my grandparents' old house. We literally just played thousands of games of ping pong, and we played that little FIFA mobile game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that FIFA mobile game where you get the things? It was so all the way through the car ride, the whole trip. We played a ton of pickup basketball. We went to the Palestra the first time.
Yep.
That was just a great trip.
Okay. And then for me, if you guys remember, it was after Thanksgiving, and we used to do this pool at the Thanksgiving. Everybody picked the winners.
Yeah.
And my nephew Danny, God bless his soul, didn't really know much about football, but he was picking all sorts of teams. And he was in competitions. We're driving home. There was, I think, a Notre Dame game left, and whoever got that game right would win. And we decided to call Danny on the way home.
It was me
Chris, right?
Me versus Danny.
And Danny, and we called, and somebody says something like, Jack, I think, goes, he's probably watching High School Musical. And to know Danny would understand. And
Danny is not a heterosexual man. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
JTrev, there's the reference. So Danny, we call him, and he's actually listening to, Jack starts singing one of the songs, and he's actually watching the movie. And I just remember the interaction with him, hoping he would win. I think he ended up winning then, did he, Chris?
I don't remember if I won or he
You
won
guys'
that
stories
one.
are, we were in the car driving home at night from Philadelphia, and there's this big group chat with everyone in it, and everyone's firing him this stuff, and it's like, we're all in this together, like all this High School Musical stuff, and he's firing back, and blah, 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 blah. And he knows nothing about football.
I don't remember if I won that one or not.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I think Danny did win.
Though. I was on fire.
The other story is a food story, and I'm sure that you guys all remember. So we go to Chicago. We get on the plane. It's Kelly, my wife Kelly, and I, and the 4 kids. And we're staying at the Hyatt. And the Hyatt's a beautiful place right on the river. It's probably 30 stories tall. And we get to the Hyatt, and I go into the room. I say, listen, guys, the one thing you don't do is you do not take food or drink out of the food or drink thing. I go back to Kelly, and I say, okay, they look like they're okay. They're settling in. I said, let me go over and check them. I go over and check them, and who's got his hands on a candy bar? JTrev. I said, JTrev's going to eat a Snickers bar and M&M. I said, what the hell are you doing? Well, they were here. I thought I could eat them. I said, Jesus, JTrev, I told you 5 minutes ago not to eat them.
That's my life there.
Not my
not listening to his directions. That's my choice of career that I decided to make.
So that's one of my favorite stories.
Do you remember JTrev on the subway in Chicago riding from the airport with the Beats on? Yeah. You remember that? The biggest Beats possible.
What did Robbie call JTrev? Timmy?
Oh, yeah, we have Timmy, two cheeseburger Timmy. Oh, let me put on
That's
camera.
another trippy.
We got 2 cheeseburger Timmy, and we got Timmy 10%, which we will not go into Timmy 10%.
What? I took Randy's burger.
Yes, you did.
Sorry, Randy.
Yeah,
Then he lost his wedding ring.
Yeah, that was
David.
Oh my God.
David lost his wedding ring.
So eventually, the other thing that news to break on the podcast is we got a new logo for our podcast that we're getting ready to put up, and we're going to start having a little more theme music. And David Immendorf, who's Robbie's brother, is my nephew from down in Pennsylvania. He's got his own band. Once was named Chord Discord. So we're going to pick some theme music off of him. Maybe if he's listening, I can ask him. Maybe he can write a theme song for us too. But and he did lose. Don't shake your head.
He doesn't have to write a theme song.
I like
for
a
us.
theme song.
The band's re-imaging right now. He's got
That's
some good
true.
old stuff.
That's true. The band's re-imaging. So we'll pick all that out, and let's go around the table. One last word before we go Thanksgiving. Jack.
I have none.
Of course you have none. You shut your mouth off the whole time.
Agreed. I left it all on the court. That's what I'll say.
Wow. Unbelievable.
The cockiness that exudes from that chair is unbelievable.
Shout out to Wilmington High basketball, who starts on Monday. I'm looking forward to the season. We're going to see what happens. The goal is to make the tournament. That should be what the goal is. Anything above that, fantastic. We'll get to it when we get there. Anything below that, we can safely say disappointment.
Over under wins.
I don't care. Make the tournament.
Okay, good.
So you're going to make the tournament without doing the 500 thing. What do you have to do to make the tournament?
It's power rankings now. So
yeah, it's all weird.
Who decides that?
It's some sort of formula.
Chris has almost figured out the formula.
I figured out how to manipulate the formula, but Mr. John Amico didn't want to listen to my suggestions on who we should play out of conference.
Some teams in football get screwed.
Yeah.
Coach John Amico
Everett.
not listening.
Like
I have my
and
beliefs
Brockton.
on how best to manipulate the power rankings.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to get into that some other time. Stathead. You're a stathead now.
I try.
Kev, you're up.
Just want to thank everybody at WCTV for staying open on Thanksgiving Eve. Appreciate them allowing us to come in. Thankful for everybody in this room. And last but not least, I wanted to give an update on the lock. The line moved to -8.5 for Missouri, but I'm still standing strong.
Sticking with it.
I didn't know what we were doing. We were doing what we're thankful for. Now I look bad.
Yeah, I know. It's a time of thankfulness.
Well,
It's Thanksgiving.
Kevin's the thankful guy of the group.
I will echo Kevin. I'm very thankful with the WCTV employees that are here right now letting us do this. It's a very important thing for us to get everyone in the studio, and this is probably the only time we could do it.
Excellent.
Amen.
Justin?
Yep. Thankful for everybody in this room. A lot of good times, a lot of good memories. Happy we discussed some of them today. Lock of the week, I didn't mention mine. It's an NFL one. The Thanksgiving night special while everyone's loaded up on tryptophan, watching some football. Seahawks plus 7.5 versus the 49ers. And I know I just mentioned the 49ers as the best team in the league, but Seahawks getting 7.5 points at home, getting a full touchdown. I think that's a lot of points, and I think Geno's playing. And they got to bounce back. And also, real quick, that Seinfeld reference from earlier. So Jack had sent me a picture from Barstool of Robert Kraft in the puffer jacket, and then side by side it was the picture of George Costanza in his puffer jacket. And I responded to Jack. I said, "What's your definition of scary cold?" And he answered the question all legitimately. And he said, if you mean weather, anything under freezing, I'm piling up for. And I said, "Boyle, what are you talking about?" I said I was quoting the scene. And then he proceeded to send me 6 texts in a row saying how embarrassed he was. As a big Seinfeld guy. But that was hilarious.
All right. I'm not thankful. I'm thankful for everything. I can say this with this group that I have in here. Of course, I helped conceive Jack, so he's been with me his whole life. Chris has been with me his whole life because he was born right next door to me.
How lucky am I?
They're very lucky. JTrev was 3rd grade Iowa, right? When we first met your pops. So we probably started hanging with you just then, and then something clicked. 3rd, 4th grade.
JTrev was Cares 4th grade.
4th grade Cares, then Democracy in 5th grade, right?
Yep.
So 5th grade. Then
That's
Kevin,
accurate.
the irony is, Kevin, you were probably on that. I think you were on that Iowa team with us.
Indiana.
And he were Iowa, Indiana. And then Kevin was no later than 6th grade because we were all travel basketball. So I've known these guys, some for their lifetime, some for a short period. And I really enjoy having them around to argue with me and fight with me and keep it level. And hopefully that I've done some good in getting them to this point. They're great podcast guys. They know their sports. They know their finance. They know whatever Jack knows. And Chris sports. He got that from his dad, not his mom. But I'm thankful for that. I'm glad we got you guys all in here. We'll make sure we thank the guys outside before we leave. And that's just all I have to say. Great to have you in. Chris, Justin, Chris JTrev, we call you now. And Kevin. Yeah, Jack.
One more thing. National champion, Kevin. Who's winning?
Georgia.
Trev, Super Bowl winner.
Niners.
And Chris, who's winning college basketball?
I'll stick with Houston.
All
I
right.
said that last time.
Good. I like that.
I like that.
I'm going Arizona basketball.
Because of Damian Dunn.
All right. And because we've run really long today, like I said, thanks to everybody. And thanks everybody for listening to us. For it all boils down to this. I'm Jim Boyle, and we'll see you on down the road. Thanks for listening to this episode of It All Boils Down to This, recorded at WCTV studios in our hometown of Wilmington, Massachusetts. We are always open to any ideas, critiques, topics, and guests. So if anyone out there in podcast world needs to get a hold of us, we can be reached via email at jboyle22@comcast.net. Along with Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle. Make sure to tune in to the next edition of It All Boils Down to This.